Presented by Hankook Tire. It's October in Southern California, and that means playoff baseball. The 5-seed Cardinals match up with the 4-seed Padres in Game 2 of this 3-game series. A Cardinals win moves them along. Padres need a win to stay alive. Here's a look at the bracket, top right quadrant. Winner of this one will go to Arlington to match up with the winner of the Brewers and Dodgers. They follow us later tonight. The Braves have already punched their ticket in the National League. Welcome, everybody. Great night for baseball. Tom Hart here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Rick Sutcliffe at his home in Southern California. Sut, it's pretty simple, really. It's an old baseball adage. You're playing a 3-game series. You just got to win the series. Doesn't matter which two you win.
And you know what? You're exactly right. But both teams after the game last night were talking about this being a must-win. The Cardinals do not want to give all of that talent that the Padres have any momentum. And when you think about the Padres, they go that 1-10 against the Cardinals in the postseason. That was a long time ago. That's not us. We know we got to go now.
Well, who are the Padres in? They're a team that has been incredible on offense, both with power and speed. They were missing that last night in Game 1.
Yeah, and they're going to miss it again tonight as far as the speed's concerned, because that's what Yadier Molina does. But I really think that those 95 home runs are a key for them to get back into the game. We also talked to manager Jace Tingler of the Padres about maybe putting the game in motion with a hit and run or two.
Top third of the lineup for the Padres, just 2 for 13 last night. Meanwhile, on the other side for the Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt is the superstar, and he played like it last night, both at the plate and in the field.
Yeah, that's what you call a carrier offensively, man. And that first pitch he saw from Chris Paddock, he said, hey, boys, hop on with that 2-run shot to give him that early lead. There's 2 things that you can do in baseball to help win a game. It's run production. Sometimes it's run prevention. With Paul Goldschmidt, a lot of times you get both of those in the very same game.
So this veteran Cardinals team took game number 1, and they've got 2 veterans playing key roles in this one, Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Yadier Molina, as good as he's been in the regular season, he somehow finds a way after all that wear and tear to get better during the postseason. And Adam Wainwright, at 39 years of age, you're seeing absolutely no sign of slowing down. We know what he did in that 06 World Series. We know what he did in the Padres earlier in that postseason when he closed out the 3 wins that they had there in his first ever appearance in the playoffs.
From closer to starter, the one constant, his battery mate for the 288th time. Adam Wainwright will be throwing to Yadier Molina. For more on that, let's go to the field and Pedro Gomez.
Yeah, Tom, you're not talking about just this generation's greatest battery. You're talking about one of the all-time great batteries. And it wasn't that long ago that Mike Schilt learned very quickly how special this battery is. He told me before the game, he goes, I figured out, I just watch from afar. They have amazing synchronicity. As a manager, I just have to stay out of the way. It's like having a coach and a manager on the field every single pitch when these 2 guys are together. An amazing, amazing duo that they have been.
Last time Cardinals and Padres met in the postseason, Wainwright sent them home. The Cardinals would go on to the World Series. See if the Padres stars can show up tonight. Card Series is presented by Hankook Tire. Never halfway. Fall has arrived in Southern California, and with it, the postseason. It's game number 2 of this 3-game series. St. Louis and San Diego. It'll be the first postseason start for Zach Davies, a 27-year-old. Came over from the Brewers. He's 7-4 on the season, a 2.73 ERA. Jace Tingler likes his consistency, Sut.
You know, he reminds me a lot of the Chicago Cubs' Kyle Hendricks, and just his composure, a lot of his stuff. He's not going to light up the radar gun, but he's going to make you put the ball in play.
Mike Schilt's batting order remains the same as yesterday. 3rd season as the Cardinals manager, the reigning NL Manager of the Year, back in the postseason. And he said, you know what, our guys looked pretty good yesterday, especially Dylan Carlson in the cleanup spot. He had a good at-bat or 2 to end the year. And, boy, the rookie looks sensational hitting 4th behind Goldschmidt.
Well, the last couple of years, they've been trying to find somebody to provide some protection for their big first baseman. They might have found it yesterday.
Ready to go. Colton Wong will get things started for St. Louis. The first inning was key for the Cardinals in game number 1, in which they scored 4 runs on 5 hits. They also swung early. This is a Cardinals offense that sees more than 4 pitches per plate appearance on the season. That's 5th most in the big leagues. They swung at the first pitch more often than not in the first inning yesterday. Wong's hit safely in his last 8 games, just 1 for 6 with a double last night, and a count 1-1. When you say that Davies won't break the radar gun, it's really his changeup that has been so effective for him over the course of the season.
Yeah, it's funny. That's how really become an out pitch for them there. You look at the little cut fastball on the inside part of the plate. He's got movement to both sides of the plate, but it's really that changeup that sets up everything else. You just look at the last 4 seasons, take a look at that number over 40% of the time, and then look at the opponent's batting average against that. I didn't get a chance to talk to Larry Rothschild today about him. I did with Larry yesterday, but I got a feeling that's another thing that Larry Rothschild has added in his first year as a pitching coach.
Changeup misses low and away, 2-2. When he was with the Brewers, one of his last springs there, he wasn't guaranteed a spot. He was coming off of rotator cuff inflammation and lower back tightness. And he said, I wasn't able to go to spring training and work on pitches, so I just had to be a fastball changeup guy. And that's when he really started leaning on it. To the right side, and Hosmer flips to Davies for the first out. The Cardinals have had an issue. Go ahead, Sut.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tom, I mean, when you talk about a good changeup, the first thing you have to do is make the delivery and release point look like your fastball. If you do that, you're going to have success with that pitch. If you're able to create some movement, you're going to have even more success. And when you're able to make it look like your fastball, create movement, and locate it to both sides of the plate, like Zach Davies can do, then it's going to be a special pitch for you, as those numbers indicated.
And it should be effective against this Cardinals batting order as Tommy Edman looks at a fastball for a strike. Cardinals have had their issues slugging all season. They're slugging just .282 against changeups. That is the worst in Major League Baseball. And the changeup is tipped foul off of Nola.
Yeah, you think about that number, and then you think about the success of his number. You'd have to say right now the Padres have a lot of confidence, even though this is a must-win game for them for sure.
Cardinals hitters were talking about the difference in their approach against Davies versus Chris Paddock, a fastball-heavy pitcher who took the ball in game 1. And they said, you know, we're just going to have to be very patient, get on, pass the baton, get to a guy like Paul Goldschmidt, see if he can do some damage with runners on.
And when you think about that, you know, Goldschmidt gets all the credit for hitting that 2-run homer. But, you know, as a manager, really the thing you try to do with the lineup is get people on in front of your power hitters.
And that's what they do here. Tommy Edman with a single to center field. Okay, Sut. It took 1 pitch for Paul Goldschmidt to announce his presence last night. How long before he actually sees a strike in this at bat?
I don't think the first pitch will be. I mean, if I'm Zach Davies right now, I'm going to throw that fastball off the outside corner, maybe 6 to 8 inches. I'm going to let him see that, and that might be the last fastball that he sees this afternoon from the Cardinal right-hander.
The dynamics of this Cardinals batting order shifted last night with Dylan Carlson's performance. Now Goldschmidt has a little bit of protection behind him. He's 4 for 10 lifetime against Davies. And there you go, a fastball way off the plate, 1-0.
I think he might have wanted to make it look a little bit better than that. Like maybe I'm trying to throw it for a strike, but I'm really not. Now, you know, when you think about Goldschmidt, there's really not any weakness as far as location is concerned with him. So as a pitcher, forget about that scouting report. You got to go with your strength.
There's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball for a strike. And the count 1-1.
I want to get it in right off the bat. The home plate umpire Corey Blazer is one of my favorites because he's got one of the bigger zones in all of baseball. There's data to show you that, but he's consistent with it for both teams.
Pitcher friendly. 2-1 now to Goldschmidt. Bill Miller's the crew chief. Of course, 2 more added to this crew for the postseason with guys down the line. Bill behind the bag at second. And there's one of those examples set of a pitcher friendly strike zone, a little bit wider, and if it's low, that's where Davies loves to live.
And it's also an example of the location. You look at the deception, you look at the late movement, and then the location. And that was a terrific job there by Austin Nola to be able to frame that low strike.
Nola tried to do it again. Bit of a stretch, and the count goes full to Goldschmidt.
You got to send him, don't you, Tommy?
Absolutely. Folks haven't run on Austin Nola very often this season, but he's thrown out 55% of would-be base stealers. Edman 2 of 6. And there it goes. The pitch is lined foul down the right side. Do you expect this pace to continue with the runner on? Davies is very deliberate.
I do. I mean, when I think of Larry Rothschild and his philosophy as a pitching coach, I think of the 3 Ps. I think of pace, presence, and pitchability. And it starts with pace. You set a good pace as far as your defense is concerned, they're going to be there for you.
And you figure the infield should be active with Davies on the mound, the way he lives low in the strike zone. Again, the payoff, and again, Goldschmidt fouls it off.
I like the approach right there by Paul Goldschmidt. He's got to have that changeup in the back of his mind, and that might have been why the last 2 fastballs he's been a little bit late on, but he doesn't care about that. If you make a mistake with that changeup up in the zone, that right now to me is what he's been sitting on.
With Davies on the mound, opponents were 9 of 10 on stolen bases this season. Edman goes again. And it's pulled to the left side. Machado to second, not in time since he was going. And the Cardinals avoid the double play.
I love that. I don't care if he gets him out of second base or not. I love the attempt by Manny Machado. That's a bullet. He picks it up so cleanly. He knows what his arm strength is, and he knows what that is of Jake Cronenworth. Cronenworth was a 2-way player at Michigan. He can throw 95 miles an hour if he has to. So he knows with Goldschmidt running, there's going to be plenty of time whether you get the out at second or not. I love the aggressive play right there, again, on the part of Manny Machado.
So Edman at second, and the newest St. Louis darling, Dylan Carlson, inserted into the cleanup spot, and all he did yesterday was go 2 for 3 with a double, a single, a couple of walks, scored twice. And he is with some elite company for his age to be batting cleanup in the postseason.
Okay. Oh, Stan Musial. Yeah, that's about as elite as it gets right there as far as Cardinal history is concerned.
Two balls and a strike now to Carlson. And it's all relative, right, Sud? I mean, it's not just that he produced last night, but it's what the cleanup spot hasn't been doing for St. Louis this year, among the league's worst in terms of average and slugging in the 4-hole.
And that's why, once again, Paul Goldschmidt was one of the league leaders in base on balls. People just weren't going to pitch to him because they didn't have to. But I really thought maybe as key as that home run was by Goldschmidt, I thought Carlson following it up with a double in that first inning yesterday was huge. And Tommy, we talked about it. Sometimes, you know, a home run up, you know, that puts a crooked number up, it's kind of an inning killer. Okay, we got that. That's all we're going to need. That's all we're going to score in that inning. Carlson said, we're not done yet. And the next thing you know, they had 2 more to go along with that first 2 goals he gave him.
Yeah, Carlson with the double. Molina singled. DeYoung doubled as well. All of them swinging early in the count. And a much different approach against Davies in his off-speed stuff. Another full count. He'll throw at least 24 pitches here in the opening frame.
Not many people can lay off that last changeup that he just spit on.
And there's ball 4. So 2 on with 2 out. And Yadier Molina now. 98 postseason hits, 5th all time for Molina. He had a 3-hit game in game number 1.
Just unbelievable what he's been able to do. As many games as he plays every year, well over 100 every single year, to still have the energy and the health to be able to play even better in October.
This is what Yadi was able to accomplish yesterday. Jumped on the first pitch he saw from Paddock for an RBI single, then a double in his next at bat.
You know, he used to be that guy that was constantly doing what you see right there with men on base. He was always going to the opposite field. That's really about all he could do. But all of a sudden, the last 4 or 5 years, every now and then he'll turn on a ball to try to hit it out of the park.
Outside.
Ball and his strike to Molina. Edman at second and Carlson at first. The A's have just knocked off the White Sox, and Oakland will advance in the postseason. Thanks, Dave. We welcome those of you who've been watching Oakland take on Chicago, and the A's advanced in the postseason for the first time since 2006 against Minnesota. The American League side is set. And already one team has punched its ticket on the National League side, the Braves, with a shutout victory over Cincinnati in a 2-game sweep against the Reds in Atlanta. Tom Hart alongside Rick Sutcliffe and Pedro Gomez down on the field. This is Zach Davies getting the start for San Diego, his first postseason start. And in the first inning, Yadier Molina delivers one down the line. Edman will score. Dylan Carlson on his way to third, and the Cardinals jump on Davies with a very patient approach here in the first inning.
Well, this is really nothing new. We've talked about Yadier Molina as well as he has performed offensively during the regular season. He just simply gets better. He's become an RBI type guy, as a reason that he's hitting in the heart of the order in that 5th spot right now. But you know what I go back and think about was when I asked you, Tommy, with the 3-2 count on Paul Goldschmidt, is he going to send him or not? Well, you said he would. You got to send him. And he did. And he did. And he did. And he did on all the pitches that Goldschmidt fouled off. What happens if Mike Shildt doesn't send him? That's a double play in this inning would have been over with.
Instead, it results in Yadier Molina's 99th postseason hit, the reigning National League Manager of the Year. Makes the right move, and Molina's all smiles over there with Eric Hosmer. Paul DeYoung at the plate. Second time in this series the Cardinals have scored in the opening frame. Rookie Carlson at third. DeYoung to third. Manny Machado will take the easy route, but St. Louis gets a handful of base runners in this first inning, and they get a run on a couple of hits. Take a 1-0 lead, and they will hand that lead to their veteran Adam Wainwright. So Wainwright ready to go once again. He's pitched in this ballpark in the postseason before, back when he was a closer. And he's had some life-altering moments in many ways here at Petco Park. In 2018, he thought his career was done when he was experiencing elbow problems in a start here, but that wasn't the issue. He bounced back in a big way, and now he is having a resurgence in his 39th year on this planet. Tom Hart alongside Rick Sutcliffe with Pedro Gomez at the ballpark. Great to have you guys with us. All right, Sut, it's simple. Cardinals are treating this like a must-win game, even though they have 2 chances to win the second of the series.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, and I totally agree with them. There is a lot of talent over there in that San Diego Padre clubhouse. It didn't really get an opportunity to come out last night because they fell behind by so much early. Some of the tools and abilities that they have as far as speed is concerned, you couldn't deal with. But I got to be honest with you, I think back to the 2004 LCS. The Boston Red Sox are down 3-0. On ESPN, I interviewed Derek Jeter, and I said, tell me about tonight. And he goes, it's a must-win. And I go, yeah, I got it. I mean, if the Red Sox don't win, it's over. He goes, no, it's a must-win for us, too. I go, you got to explain. He goes, again, there's so much ability over there, we can't let them have any momentum. We all know what happened the next 4 games.
Padres had the winningest season by percentage points in franchise history. So if they get rolling, you never know when they're going to stop. Some teams are already rolling in the postseason. Mentioned the Braves moved on. They've already moved on the National League side, and the Dodgers have the opportunity to do that tonight against the Brewers. And, of course, the Cardinals here. So Adam Wainwright, the 39-year-old, getting the start with Yadier Molina behind the plate for him. It's his 27th career postseason start. That's the most all-time in St. Louis Cardinals history. 5-3 through 10 starts. And stuff, as I mentioned before, one of his best years over the last 3 or 4.
Yeah, and I really think the best story for me about Adam Wainwright, and there's 1,000 of them, but the best one was for me last year. For ESPN Radio, we're doing a division series, okay? And he pitches into the 8th inning in Game 2. He's outstanding. They've got the lead. The bullpen blows it. I go in before Game 3. They're down 2-1. Okay, if they lose with Dakota Hudson on the mound, they're done. The season is over. I want to talk to Waino to find out more about the young starting pitcher, Dakota. I can't find him. I go, where's he at? The clubbies tell me he's in the weight room. They go on in. You can see him. I go into the weight room. I go, hey, what's going on? He goes, I'm getting ready for my next start. You know what his next start was? It was Game 2 of the League Championship Series. That's leadership.
And he leads Trent Grisham off with a strike, 0-1. Grisham now in the leadoff spot against a right-hander, which is normal for Jace Tingler's batting order. Tommy Pham, the former Cardinal, had a big game last night. He's down in the 5-hole. Wainwright, with that expanded zone you said that Corey Blazer, the home plate umpire, will put in place, gets the inside strike.
Well, you know one thing, from the first day that Adam Wainwright got to the big leagues, you got to swing it to beat him. He is as stingy as they come at giving up that first 90 feet with a free pass.
Grisham 0 for 2 last night. The 6'7" Wainwright delivers his first curveball, and it's snared by Goldschmidt. He'll take it himself.
You want to know why the Cardinals were willing to give up so much? They gave up Luke Weaver. They gave up Carson Kelly, 2 of their top prospects, but they knew one thing. We got to get better defensively. They were the worst team. They committed more errors than any team in baseball in 2018. A big part of the reason for the 3rd straight year they didn't make the postseason. By bringing one guy over, he's pretty much made everybody better.
Back of his baseball card looks good. So does this one. Fernando Tatis, the young superstar for San Diego. Just 1 for 4 last night. He had some anxious plate appearances. It was also interesting, Sut, the way Mike Schilt used his bullpen against Tatis. He was the first batter for 3 different St. Louis relievers.
And he was also the guy that ended all 3 of those innings by making an out, keeping the guy in the on-deck circle, Manny Machado, from having an opportunity to do some damage.
17 home runs in the regular season for Tatis with 11 stolen bases. He's got Machado behind him. Let's check in with Pedro Gomez.
Guys, I'm not sure if you noticed, but after Grisham was out, Wainwright went to the stretch and then realized, oh wait, there's no one on base. It's almost, and then he had to step off to the back of the mound and go back into the full windup. It's almost like he couldn't believe Goldschmidt made that play. In his mind, there was a runner on base. You know what? Hopefully we can go back and look at it. It was right before he threw the first pitch to Tatis. I'm sorry. He was in the stretch and realized, uh-oh, I got to step off and clear myself again.
He's been in a lot of different situations. I'm guessing that's happened once or twice before in his career.
It is so great having a pair of eyes at the ballpark. Look at him.
There
what
he
are
is.
You doing?
And look at Molina.
Yeah, guess who saw it? Yadier Molina saw it and said, hey, man, you don't need to go from the stretch. Of course he did. 288th time those two have formed a battery. Curveball pulled through the left side, and Tatis is on. Said it'll be interesting watching Adam Wainwright's curveball. He throws it 38% of the time, second most in baseball. And there it is. Look, the curveball is coming. What Tatis is telling that Padres dugout.
Well, you can pretty much count on every at bat. At some point, you're going to see one of those breaking balls, whether it's a cutter or whether it's that big curveball. But Adam Wainwright said from the very first day he got to the big leagues, for me to be successful, as he put it, I need to have Uncle Charlie on the pass list. He's talking about that curveball, talking about it better be in the house for him to be good.
Let's see what his approach is with Machado here with 1 on and 1 out. Machado 2 for 8 lifetime against Adam Wainwright. Remember, first time these teams are facing each other this season. They'll keep a close eye on Tatis. 11 stolen bases in 14 attempts this year. And talking with Jace Tingler, the Padres manager, about what Yadier Molina can do to your running game. He goes, guys, listen, he's still a 1.8 pop time. 1.8 seconds. That is elite. It always has been for Yadi, but age hasn't slowed it down at all.
That's a great number, Tommy. That is a great number right there, because it's real simple as a pitcher if you do the math. You know what the time is. The best time that Tatis has going from first to second on a stolen base. So as a pitcher, you've just got to equate that along with the 1.8 from Yadi and stay under that, because you know not only will he get it quickly down to second base, but it will be accurate.
To the right side, flagged down by Wong to DeYoung, back to first, and the Cardinals get a slick 4-6-3 double play to end the first. St. Louis can clinch with the win. They have a 1-0 lead through 1. Welcome back to the 2020 Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. Game number 2 from San Diego. Doesn't matter if it's fall, summer, spring. The beach is still nice. Here's what's going on the National League side. Marlins and Cubs, inclement weather, postponed their game today. They'll go tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Braves blanked the Reds 5-0. Marcell Ozuna and Adam Duvall both homer for Atlanta in that one. Ian Anderson great on the mound. And the Brewers and Dodgers later. That should be a good pitching matchup, including Kershaw for L.A.
Can you believe the Cincinnati Reds didn't score? What was it, 22 innings, and they couldn't put a run up? I know that they struggled all year long, but when you look at that lineup, hard to believe. Hard to believe.
Zach Davies facing Matt Carpenter to start the St. Louis second. Carpenter with a lot of at-bats against Davies. Struggling this season in batting average, really for the second straight year. But against Davies in his career, a .480 average.
And that's like you said, that's with a lot of appearances. 12 for 25, 3 times he's gone deep. Davies did a lot of good things with Milwaukee. Over 4.5 years, over 600 innings pitched.
2 balls and a strike for those who weren't with us in the first inning. The scouting report on Davies is pretty simple. He throws his changeup a lot. His fastball will sit upper 80s. It's touched 90 a couple of times in this one as Carpenter shows bunt.
And Tom, that's another thing that we talked about earlier was not only does he throw that changeup and his delivery looks like that of his fastball, but it's also got a lot of late movement down in the zone. I think Carpenter guessed right. He got the pitch that he wanted. He just couldn't put it in play.
He leads all of baseball with pitches in the bottom of the zone, just like that one. 27% of his pitches in the bottom of the zone. 3-2 now to Matt Carpenter. And Carpenter yanks one to right. His success against Davies continues. It'll get all the way into the corner. Will Myers finds it, and Carpenter standing up at second base with a leadoff double.
You talked about how much success that Zach Davies has had down in the zone. Carpenter just that hold at bat looking for something up. Got a changeup that was elevated. Davies did not want to walk the leadoff guy of an inning. Elevated, and it continued to be elevated until it got to the wall down that right field line.
So the Cardinals threatening here in the second. They got a run on 2 hits in the first. And the 8-hole hitter Dexter Fowler to the plate. Fowler with a swing and a miss on the off-speed pitch. World Series champion with the Cubs in 2016. Plenty of postseason experience for Fowler, including with the Rockies for the first time in 2009.
You know, guys, this is a spot right here where I learned something I thought really important from Don Zimmer when he was our third base coach with the Cubs. He told Ryan Sandberg, in a spot like this, I don't want you getting him over. I want you trading places with him. I think Fowler needs to think the same thing. Forget about hitting that ground ball to the right side. Trade places with him.
Over the course of the season, and an unprecedented season to be sure for St. Louis, with the starts and stops and starts again and then the sprint to the end, the one thing the Cardinals had a hard time doing is putting together extra base hits. And Fowler goes down swinging. They've been getting on base. They have a high walk rate, but it's led to diminished offensive production. First K for Davies.
Thing about Dexter Fowler, I mean, over the last couple of years, really since he became a Cardinal, he's had problems with anybody that could spin the baseball. A lot of his strikeouts have come from pitches exactly like that.
It was a tough night at the plate for Harrison Bader. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts. When Mike Schilt was asked about leaving Bader in the lineup tonight, he said pretty simply, well, he's a net positive. He does good things in the outfield. And even though it's small sample size, he's been successful against Davies. 3 for 3 with a home run. It wasn't just a bad night at the dish for Harrison Bader. It was a historically bad night. The last to do it, Reggie Sanders with the Reds in 1995, to strike out 5 times in a postseason game. But how about this? All 3 were on winning teams in those games.
What did Pedro call it last night? 5 strikeouts?
Platinum sombrero.
Platinum sombrero.
Bader made a nice play in the final play of the game, taking a Will Myers extra base hit away with a leaping catch at the wall. Davies, a 27-year-old, making his first career postseason start, sees the count go to 2-2 on the 9-hole hitter.
I came up with a nickname for 5Ks last night. Tommy, did you hear about it?
No, I'd love to hear about it.
Yahtzee.
I don't want to know.
I love that game.
What you were doing when you came up with that. Probably.
I sent a picture to Ravi and Eduardo and Timmy Kirchin on what I was doing.
Base hit up the middle for Bader. Carpenter around third. Trent Grisham comes up firing with a bullet high. Goes all the way to the backstop. And Davies there to back it up. Well, they're trading places just like you said. Double for double. Bader replaces Carpenter at second.
Couple of outstanding things there on the part of Harrison Bader. First of all, the fact that he was able to make contact. He's able to put this pitch right back up the middle. Davies knows there's nothing behind him there. He tried to kick at it, not able to do anything about it. Carpenter's off and running. You see Grisham come. Now a mistake made again here on the part of the Padres. He overthrows the cutoff man, and what happens? That's all you've got to do as a base runner is check it out. If that first baseman cannot catch that ball, then you know the next 90 feet have just been given to you.
St. Louis with a 2-0 lead. And Colton Wong to the plate for the second time in this game. And Wong looks at a first pitch strike. If you're unfamiliar with San Diego's success throughout the course of the season, outside of what they did at the plate, well, a lot of it hinged on their starting pitching. Dinelson Lamet and Mike Clevenger. Neither one of those guys are on the postseason roster. So instead of Davies going in game number 3, he's throwing in a must-win game number 2. And they used just about every available arm in the bullpen last night.
I mean, just think about where the Padres were at 10 days ago. I mean, they were loaded. They might have been as complete as any team in the game. They were just maybe a notch below the Dodgers as far as the balance and the strength of the bullpen. And then having those two guys at the top of the rotation, I don't know which way Jace Tingler would have gone, but he couldn't have gone wrong either way. Then all of a sudden, those two guys break down. You don't know what to do in game 1, and right off the bat, you find yourself down 4-0 in the top of the first inning.
7 different relievers followed Chris Paddock, who allowed 6 earned and 2 1/3. This one lifted down the line, and it is gone. A 2-run shot for Colton Wong, and the Cardinals pouring it on in the second. Just his second home run of the season for Wong.
When this series started, everybody was talking about the power and the speed of the Padres. They weren't talking about it with the Cardinals because there wasn't anything to talk about. They were down towards the bottom of the list in both of those departments, but all of a sudden they have found their power stroke. They're taking the extra base when it's given, and there was no doubt about that in the mind of Colton Wong that he had just left the building.
So only 1 home run throughout the entire regular season for Wong, and already he has one in the postseason. 103 off the bat and a 410-foot shot. 29 degrees of launch angle for Colton Wong, who's hit safely now in 9 consecutive games.
Well, he's starting to put it all together too. We know that a year ago he picked up his first Gold Glove with the outstanding performance defensively. You know, in our Zoom conference with the Padres manager Jace Tingler, we talked to him about several things. One of them was about how he'd like to get some length out of his starting pitcher here in game 2.
At what point does that become impossible?
You're real close to it right now. Yeah, you get your man on base. I think you've got to go in action, even though there's a lot of baseball to be played right now.
That was a much needed out for Zach Davies. Pierce Johnson getting loose already for San Diego.
I'm just kind of thinking about Tommy Edman and just how, you know, I mean, not a big deal last night. He scored a run. He's 1 for 5. We know that to begin with, he was charged with an error. They've since changed that and given that as a stolen base when that ball bounced off the base bag. But here's again, first inning, just setting the table, getting on base. The next thing you know, he touched home to give him a lead as he did in game 1.
Here's Paul Goldschmidt, grounded out first time up. First time up last night, hit a home run. Set the tone for St. Louis. Now 1 for 6 in this series.
It had been a long time since Paul Goldschmidt hit a home run, back on the 12th of September before last night.
He sees just 3 pitches. It has a word for Corey Blazer, but the Cardinals get a home run from their leadoff hitter, Colton Wong. It's a 2-run shot, and St. Louis pushes 3 across in the second. Game. Let's dig into tonight's key game insights for the fans at home. The Cardinals need support for Goldschmidt. They've gotten it. Game 1, the middle of the order, 7 for 10 with 5 runs and 2 ribbies. And Sut, the Padres live by the home run. 51% of their offense comes via the long ball. They have yet to hit one.
You know, and as I think back to the bottom of the first inning and Machado hitting in that double play, that wouldn't have happened during the season when they played all of their games. National League and American League West was not. Tatis would have tried to base early in that count to get into score position. The respect for what he played kept us at first base and led to that inning in double.
Eric Hosmer swings at the first pitch from Adam Wainwright and pops it up. It'll be Wong to take it. 1 down with Tommy Pham coming to the plate. Well, the former Cardinal Tommy Pham had some good at bats last night. He went 2 for 4 with an RBI single in the 3rd. He doubled and scored in the 6th. Wainwright misses upstairs with a fastball. 1-0 to Pham.
Talked about it earlier that if you're going to beat Wainwright, you're going to have to do that. He's in 106 postseason innings, and he's only walked 17 guys that were unintentional. And once again, well over a strikeout per inning.
Drops a curveball in for a strike. 1-2. K-zone 3D.
Just coming in to grab a corner of that chunk of cheese. I love what Wainwright does too, and for a lot of young pitchers out there that become a sinker ball type guy, look at where he's at on the first base side of that rubber. It creates a more direct angle to that outside corner to the right-handed hitter. I think back to Chris Carpenter doing that. I think back to Roy Halladay doing that, and all the success that they've had.
There's a foul ball on the breaking ball to Pham. We'll do it again. 2-2. What difference does that make?
Well, it's just more of a direct line. If you're on the third base side and you're trying to get to the first base of home plate, you got to create kind of an angle. There's not a direct line that goes in that direction. You kind of got to throw across your body. You tend to sometimes fly open with your stride and land. I mean, he's over there as far as he can get off that angle, trying to come back to catch that outside corner.
Little dribbler. Wainwright off the mound's going to have to hurry. He's got no play. And Tommy Pham reaches with about a 15-foot single.
That ball was hit in no man's land. As athletic as Adam Wainwright is, he's won a Gold Glove in his past. I think he's won 2 of them. Yadier Molina, we know about that. Nothing anybody could do about that. Maybe that's the break that these Padres need. All of a sudden now you find a bloop followed by a blaster back.
It brings Mitch Moreland up. Moreland not in the lineup for Jace Tingler last night. He was part of the big haul that they brought in at the trade deadline. Got more
He
experience.
loves the first pitch. He loves the first pitch.
It's a first pitch curveball to the 35-year-old.
Not that one. Talk about the experience that he has and things that he can do from that DH spot. And I love what Tingler also said about Jurickson Profar. He talked about him being a weapon late in the game if they have a chance to win it, either off the bench or maybe on the base paths with his speed.
Another breaking ball hit well deep to left field. Carlson at the fence turns around and makes a catch. 2 down. Moreland, the 11-season MLB veteran with a lot of postseason experience, gave that one a ride.
You know, I'm going to ask Pedro again. You look Moreland looking back on that like he thought out enough of it to get it out. We saw the same thing last night with Eric Hosmer on a ball hit in that area.
And Rick, it's funny that you mentioned that because Eric Hosmer's arms were up in the air as though he was going to celebrate a 2-run shot, and he slammed the top of the dugout as soon as it was caught on the warning track.
Here's Will Myers. First pitch breaking ball to Myers. '29-year-old, just 2 for 20 in the postseason coming in to this series, and he had a hit in 4 at-bats last night. Compare the Cardinals batting order with the Padres in this sense. There's not a single hitter for the Cardinals who has double-digit home runs. Myers is the 7-hole hitter tonight for San Diego. He's hit 15. In fact, the Padres have more 400-foot home runs than the Cardinals have home runs total.
But they still only count for 1.
Time called before the pitch.
If you're that Padre fan right now, as long as it's been since they've been in the postseason, you're wondering, where has that power gone? Where's it at? It's there.
Third in the major leagues with percentage of their runs coming from the long ball. Wainwright misses low and away, 3 balls and no strikes. Adam Wainwright is the 3rd pitcher, age 39 or older, to start a postseason game for the Cardinals. Grover Alexander was 39 when he won a couple of starts for St. Louis in the 1926 World Series, and he was 41 at the time of his final postseason start. That was a loss in the 28 World Series.
Go if he walks. Can you give me a shot?
Myers was taking all the way, and the count is 3-1.
That's a little surprising to me right there, knowing that Adam Wainwright has a lot of different things he can throw for a strike that he has confidence in. He might spin this one rather than throwing another heater.
And he does. And Myers chases it to take it full.
Really surprised that he would do that. Now, I don't think that came from the dugout. I think he did that on his own. But you're the guy that we need to go deep right now. And after seeing the swing you had on the hook there, I mean, there's a lot of different ways for Adam Wainwright to go because of how completely fooled he was in that 3-1 pitch.
And he fouls off the fastball.
That's the pitch that he was looking for on the 3-1 count. It was exactly the same pitch that he got on the 3-0 count.
Sut, do the Padres just kind of seem out of sorts at the plate in this series?
I think they I mean, that 4-run in the first inning, I mean, right off the bat, it's like, wait a minute. Then you start thinking about what you don't have. What if we had Lamet? What if Clevenger was on the mound? It might have been different. You got to get over that.
Goes to the curveball, the count full. Wong's got to hurry. Glove flip, and Goldschmidt with the stretch. A huge 3rd out thanks to the range from the Gold Glove winner Colton Wong. It'll be the heart of the Cardinals lineup due up. Carlson, Molina, and DeYoung. But first, a little bit of leather from the team that leads baseball in defensive runs saved. Cardinals with the early advantage over San Diego. Moments ago, Mike Schilt. You got Adam Wainwright in the mound in this one. What kind of calm does that bring a manager when you have a veteran presence on the mound in the postseason?
Yeah, you know he's going to slow things down. Just look to execute his pitches, follow the game plan, change it if necessary, be on the same script with Yachty as they go.
Mike, I thought it was a key moment there in the first inning with a 3-2 count. You putting Tommy Hedman in motion. It kept the inning alive and led to the first run.
Yeah, you know what? We like to play the game a little bit. You know, a lot of bigger arms sometimes in the games. We can't do it, but we get a chance. We're going to put the guys in motion to make something happen.
Mike, thanks for your time.
Appreciate it.
Reigning National League Manager of the Year, Pierce Johnson is the new pitcher for San Diego after Zach Davies goes just 2. And he's got Dylan Carlson at the plate to start the third for St. Louis.
I think this is absolutely the right move on the part of Jace Tingler. Yeah, Zach Davies, I mean, he led the Padres in wins this year. He had an ERA under 3, but when you look back at his last 7 starts against these Cardinals, and I know he was with Milwaukee, but an ERA almost 6.5 against this St. Louis team. It just they've got something on him as far as that changeup is concerned. They make him get it up in the zone, and that's when they make him pay.
Well, let's face it, the die was cast when the Padres left Lamet and Clevenger off of the postseason roster. It changed everything for San Diego. 2-2 to Carlson, and he waves at that pitch from Pierce Johnson. And keep this in mind, Stud, if the Padres come back to win this, and they've been a great comeback team all year, as Yadier Molina gets a scouting report, they're going to have a bullpen day tomorrow. They don't have a starter. They probably have Larry Rothschild has somebody in mind, but it's going to be all hands on deck for Game 3, where the Cardinals can stick with Jack Flaherty.
Yeah, I think they like what they saw in Game 1 with Garrett Richards. For me, I mean, the way he came in and as well as he threw, it was kind of like the way he started this season. I think as we look at him there on the left, I mean, for me, that's the one that would stand out as far as, you know, he's got the experience. You know, he's a veteran guy that has had a lot of success, and he's got that power stuff that a lot of times you need to win in October.
0-1 to Molina.
God, he might have thought that ball was a little bit outside, but knowing that he might get that same call for his pitcher as a catcher, you just got to bite your tongue.
Into right center, and in the sun, it's Will Myers. 2 down. Our final best of 3 wild card game comes your way tonight. Following us right here on ESPN, number 8 seed Brewers, sub 500 squad in the regular season, need a win to keep their season alive against Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers. Two down for Paul DeYoung. So you've got a game you can win to send you to the next level, and you got Clayton Kershaw going.
Tell you what, Tommy, for a long time I talked about if you could start a franchise and you could have anybody in baseball, for me, that's the guy right there that I would want. And you go, well, what's wrong with Mike Trout or Mookie Betts or whatever? I think when you look at every club and you're trying to win a World Series, you're trying to be a championship caliber team, you need that ace. And this guy continues to be a #1 type guy.
He'll be opposite Brand Woodruff tonight for the Brewers. Pierce Johnson was one of 7 relievers who threw last night for San Diego. Worked a scoreless 5th. He hit DeYoung to start that inning.
You know, I remember seeing Pierce Johnson when he was a youngster coming up with the Chicago Cubs in spring training. One of their top prospects. Didn't have the velocity out of the rotation that he has found since he's gone to the bullpen. And he can always spin it with the best of them as far as that curveball.
And there it is. And he works a 1-2-3 third. Padres finally getting some pitching, see if they can rattle the bats and find some offense. Adam Wainwright's got a lead to work with as we head to the home half of the 3rd inning in San Diego. Austin Nola looks at a first pitch fastball, and the Padres catcher down in the count 0-1. Nola was part of the roster restructuring done by San Diego at the trade deadline. It wasn't just a couple of pieces. It was a bunch of new guys. Came over from Seattle, where he grew into a big league catcher after playing in the middle of the infield for most of his minor league career.
Yeah, they completely redid that catching situation here. We know that Austin Hedges was here for a long time, and he was a guy that was really more about defense than offense. They bring over Jason Castro because of his defensive ability, and then all of a sudden, after seeing Austin Nola go off on them when they played up in Seattle earlier this year, they decided they'd like to add him to the mix, and he's been a terrific addition along with Jason Castro.
Funny how that works, huh? Like you get eyes on a guy and see how good he really is, and what a fantastic career Nola has had to get to this point, to work hard to turn himself into a catcher. 655 professional games at second and short before he put on the gear and moved behind the plate.
You know, and Tom, as you say that, I think that's a great point. The thing that it makes me think of is how loaded the farm system for these San Diego Padres has been and continues to be.
Nola goes down looking between innings. We had a chance to catch up with Padres manager Jace Tingler. Jace, Zach Davies goes 2 for you. You're in the bullpen already. How do you piece it together the rest of the way?
Well, all the guys down there know it's every man getting ready. You know, we talked about, I don't know if worst case scenario or, you know, we talked about a lot of options down there. And so, you know, obviously with the Cardinals getting some runs there, now we got to piece it together. The guys are going to be ready and need to put some zeros up. And hopefully we can get some runs on the board.
Jace, I know you're a Chiefs fan, so you know about comebacks. You know that there's a lot of potential. You just need somebody to start the fire down there in that dugout.
No, that's a good point. We feel like we got a couple Patrick Mahomes on the team. So, you know, what we need to do, got to get that first run across the board. Love to have a multi-run inning, and if we can do that, I think we can get back in this game.
Jace, thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys.
He is a big Kansas City Chiefs fan, and you look back to their game against the Texans on January 12th of 2020 to open the postseason. Jace Tingler was watching that game from a San Diego hotel room. The Chiefs fell behind 24-0 before a big Mecole Hardman kick return, and then Patrick Mahomes started doing what he does, and you can bet Tingler was up yelling and screaming.
I mean, you just think about that. I mean, 24 points is nothing for the Kansas City Chiefs in this day and age. They're scoring 35 at will. And when you think about the offense of this Padre teams, being down 4-0, that's not a big deal. It can be overcome. We've done it all year long. You have to start thinking like that rather than, as we've said over the first 2 games. Yeah, it was supposed to be Lamet and it's supposed to be Clevenger on the mound. That's over with. Turn the page on that.
The Padres team that leads baseball with 22 come from behind wins, and especially dangerous late in the game, 7th inning or later. But here they are down 4 in the 3rd, and leadoff hitter Trent Grisham with Cronenworth at first It's at a pitch. It didn't miss by much. Adam Wainwright wants clarification.
I honestly don't think it missed. I think that Corey Blazer might have been a little bit fooled there, thinking it was that curveball again. It was going to go out of the zone, and it didn't. You're talking about a guy at home plate right now with a combination of power and speed. Grisham can lead this ballpark in a hurry if you make a mistake out over the plate.
3-0 now to Trent Grisham.
I would have turned Will Myers loose on that 3-0 pitch. That didn't work out for the Padres. I keep the bat on your shoulder right now, knowing that Tatis and Machado is lurking in that on-deck circle to get him even closer. I make him throw a strike here.
But he fails to, and it's a 4-pitch walk. And you go back to that 2-0 pitch, and it's got to have Wainwright a little bit steamed.
I think you're exactly right, and I think that was in his head on the 3-0 pitch whatsoever. I mean, you just want to play catch on that 3-0 pitch. Here it is. See how far you can hit it. That's by design what he was trying to do, but wasn't able to get it done. Now a guy that has gotten it done for you all year long needs to do it again if you're a Padre fan.
Fernando Tatis Jr. 326 in the regular season with runners on base. 0 for 3 in game number 1. Wainwright, one of 2 Cardinals pitchers who also pitched against his dad. Andrew Miller was the other. Miller saw action out of the bullpen last night. 1-0 now to Tatis.
You know, I think about Fernando Tatis Sr. and I know that he was in the big leagues for over a decade. Hit well over 100 home runs in his career. I know that his best year was with these Cardinals. I think it was 1999. He had 100 RBIs and over 100 runs scored. And of course, when you think about Slam Diego, as they were nicknamed, you think about the 2 grand slams that Fernando Tatis Sr. hit. Wasn't that in the same inning, Pedro?
Yeah, just the same game, same inning.
Chan-Ho Park.
3rd inning against the Dodgers in a packed house. Park was still in the game when he did it a 2nd time.
Kind of looked like the same pitch. You know, other than that first pitch going completely over the bullpen, I might have thought it was just a replay of the first home run.
Of course, he's all smiles. Look at what Fernando Tatis Jr. is doing. 17 home runs, 2nd in the league, and 45 driven in during the season, and he waves at a curveball 1-1.
I think in the back of Tatis's mind there, he said he's going to throw me a curveball and I'm going to get a base hit or more, just like I did in my first at bat. He got the curveball, but the problem was he didn't get it in a location that he could do anything with. The Wainwright, I think you got to run that fastball in on him at some point here. There you go. There you go. That first curveball had slowed his bat down. He was going to stay back a little bit, and it wasn't even a great fastball. Really wasn't on the inner half, basically down the middle. But because he's thinking curveball, he's not able to make contact out in the front of the plate and do anything with it. Now you got a couple of choices. If I'm Adam Wainwright, I'm either going to run that fastball in again, try to maybe get a ground ball double play, or I'm going to go to that chase zone with that curveball to see if he'll go out of the zone to make an out.
Cronenworth at 2nd, Grisham at 1st. Padres had opportunity after opportunity in game number 1. They left 11 on base. Or pardon me, they left 8 on base in a 7-4 loss. But there was a lot of traffic on the base paths for San Diego. Jace Tingler's squad can never find that one big hit. Came inside again, 2-2. All right, now what if you're Wainwright?
I've got to go to my strength. I've got to go to Uncle Charlie. I got to try to think down maybe on the outer half to keep him from pulling the baseball. And for me, if I'm Tatis Jr., I got to think about a team at bat right here. I got to think about contact.
Instead, he comes inside with a fastball, and he tipped it into Molina's mitt for the 3rd strike. What a way for the at bat to end.
You know, we can almost hear that foul tip. I mean, let's go back and take a look at this. Missed with the cutter off the plate. Can't find the location there. Gave away a strike there on a chase zone. Stayed back. Missed a pitch that he could have done something with. Missed that inside corner with the cutter. And look at him right there. Wanted to go down and away with that cutter. He completely missed it, but he caught Tatis Jr. leaning out over the plate, maybe thinking about a curveball. It just nicked the bat. And it's uncanny to me how many times Yadier Molina can hold on to a foul tip. Look at that. How do you make that play?
And you could see Wainwright a moment ago trying to stifle the smile. Manny Machado, first pitch strike, 0-1.
That's a great lesson, that pitch right there, for a lot of young pitchers. You can't find the cutter. You can't find the cutter. Well, you know what? That cutter is the reason at 39 years of age, one of them, you had a lot of success. You got to keep going to it until it's there. You can't eliminate that pitch.
Curveball pulled down the left field line, and it is foul in the corner. Not a whole lot of foul territory down there in play. Carlson made some hustling plays in left last night, going both directions.
So many beautiful things about this ballpark. Of course, you're always going to have the weather and the location, but that Western Meadow building down that left field line that they were able to hold on to. There's a lot of people that have a really, really good time down. How come you're not there, Pedro?
They wouldn't let me in. They wouldn't let me in. They said, no. If you can't go in with Sutcliffe, sorry.
You got your tips and everything. You're in the bubble. I mean, you're as safe as they come.
Hey, I don't know if you guys have noticed. I have been watching every one of Wainwright's 47 pitches. Not once has he shaken Molina. It's kind of like what Schilt told us before the game, where he said, all I can do is stay out of the way. It's the easiest day, he said, to manage. He told me it's the easiest day to manage. I just let them do their thing.
I tell you one thing right along with that, Pedro, that I've seen Yadier not put down a sign and shake his head, telling Wainwright, shake. I want you to shake a couple of times. Not because he's shaking him off, just because you want to give the hitter, maybe a young hitter, something else to think about.
It's an incredible relationship the two of them have.
Fastball up and away to Machado, and the count now 2-2.
Pedro, are you going to get one of those T-shirts that Mike Schilt was talking about?
He told us before the game.
2020?
Yeah, it's Wainwright and Molina 2020. And he goes, I want to be sure that we have Wainwright and Molina 2021. He goes, I absolutely want both those guys back. There's still gas left in the tank, is what he said. Neither one is signed for 2021.
Big at bat for Machado with 2 on and 2 out. Wainwright's pitch. Fastball, strike 3 looking. He got Tatis with a half swing on a foul tip, and then he gets Machado looking. And the two superstars for San Diego leave 2 on. The carom ends up in Molina's leather. All smiles for St. Louis here early on in San Diego.
Quarter in downtown San Diego. 4-0 Cardinals. They're trying to get into the second round of the playoffs here. If you take a look, though, at the Cardinals dugout, you'll see a large number of players in there. This is the first time the Cardinals have been able to have this many players. That's because they quarantined in the hotel bubble the entire week before the regular season ended. Dexter Fowler told me before the game, everyone's in the dugout at the same time for the first time, and it's normalcy for the first time in a long time for us. And that's because if you were the tomorrow starting pitcher or the next day starting pitcher, you weren't even told to be at the ballpark. You worked out and you would leave. So Jack Flaherty would not even be here if it was during the regular season. This is a big thing for the Cardinals, they said, because you can pick things up pitchers can pick things up, is what Fowler said.
Yeah, nothing's been normal for St. Louis this season as Matt Carpenter leads off the 4th inning. Adrian Morejon is the new pitcher for San Diego. He's the 3rd pitcher into the game already. And Carpenter lifts this one to shallow center. Little wedge. And Grisham's got it. Major League Baseball would like to honor, remember, and thank the frontline heroes who continue to lift up their fellow citizens during the COVID-19 pandemic. On behalf of all of us, thank you for all the work that you do. Dexter Fowler to the plate with the bases empty and 1 down.
Kind of interesting what Pedro was talking about there with everybody being back in the dugout. Didn't know that, but in between innings with our camera in the dugout, we got a shot of Jack Flaherty, who would be the starting pitcher tomorrow if there is a game 3, going over talking to Wainwright. And you know, when the moment is hot like that, when you got a question on how did you do that, how did you set Manny Machado up there, you don't want to wait till tomorrow because you might forget about that moment. He went to him right away, and the leadership of Adam Wainwright said, this is what I was thinking, this is how it was done.
Well, Wainwright's been a leader for the young pitchers for a while now. We're talking with Jack Flaherty before the game today, and he said, when I first came up and had a chance to go to big league camp, I was rooming with Austin Gomber, and he said, all right, well, we got to be at the ballpark in the clubhouse at 5:50 in the morning. And he goes, okay, that seems like a very specific time. He said, we have to be there at 5:50 because Wainwright comes at 6. And if we're not there before he is, he's going to be mad, and we don't want him to be mad. So sure enough, every day like clockwork, Adam Wainwright in the clubhouse, 6 a.m., scans the room. Young pitchers are there waiting to learn.
I'll tell you another thing about those Cardinals is we see pitching coach Mike Maddox right there by him that they do.
Tatis from short with some flair. Let's get you to the studios. We check in quickly with John Brickley.
All right, guys, time now for tonight's Wild Card Roundup brought to you by Coors Light. The Braves, for the first time in 19 years, winning a postseason after their sweep over the Reds. Marcell Ozuna with a 2-run shot as Atlanta moving on to the divisional round, and a collection of former MVPs, Christian Yelich, Cody Bellinger getting reacquainted. Brewers and Dodgers coming up 10 Eastern on ESPN.
All right, John, thanks. Here's the 9-hole hitter, Harrison Bader. You were talking about some of the stuff the Cardinals do in spring training.
And it goes back to when Dave Duncan was the pitching coach with Tony La Russa. He would take, when a starting pitcher would go down to do his side day, all of the other 4 starting pitchers went with him. And when you have a leadership, when you have a guy like Adam Wainwright, is all about the team. You know, when you ask him to be there at 2 o'clock because there's a young guy that's going to go down there and throw, I mean, he's the guy that's there. So everybody follows that lead. And why it's important, Dave Duncan was the one that was telling me that, you know, not only my eyes are on the pitcher, but I want 8 other eyes on this guy so that maybe we can help him. What if he's tipping his pitches? What if his breaking ball's not as sharp as it should be? I don't have all the answers, but maybe among the 5 of us that are watching him, maybe we can figure it out. Mike Maddox has been doing that for a long time since he heard about it. And I mean, I love what they do. They throw for about 10 minutes and then they all sit down and they chat about what's going on. And then you finish your work and you go out there and perform. Maybe a reason that they've had so much success as a staff, I mean, for a long, long time. And that success has continued with that man in charge.
Maddox just one of the St. Louis San Diego connections, and there's a lot of them on Jace Tinkler's staff, including his associate manager Skip Schumacher. Played 8 years with the Cardinals and part of the 2011 World Series champion team. Alan Craig is their baseball ops advisor. Beard's looking good on Skip. Trevor Rosenthal, of course, Cardinals Padres closer now.
Tommy, we've talked about golf. How many hole-in-ones do you have?
Probably not as many as Skip.
How about if you're Mike Maddox and you get 2 hole-in-ones in the same day.
Come on, that'd be like hitting 2 grand slams in the same inning. What are the odds of that ever happening? Cardinals lead 4-0 as we head to the home half of the 4th. Well, here is how the Padres got to this point. First team in Major League history hit 5 grand slams in 6 days. That was mid-August. Everyone started paying attention. Then at the trade deadline, they moved 16 players, got 10 in return. They held on to their top prospects, which was a huge win for A.J. Preller. And the winningest season in Padres history by winning percentage, their 3rd best after the trade deadline. Padres offense 3rd in baseball in runs per game, 3rd in slugging, and 8 games in which they scored 10 runs or more. Yet so far in this series, so it's a quick 3-game series, they have yet to get that offense on track.
I think they're thinking about all of the things that they're missing rather than about the opportunity that they have right now. And when I think about what they're doing now, you can put this patience aside. Okay, yeah, Adam Wainwright walked the guy. That'll probably be the only guy that he walks today. You're going to have to get him, and I think you got to get him early in the at bat.
Eric Hosmer 0 for 1 with a pop up to second. Three strikeouts and a walk for Wainwright. And he drops a curveball in on Hosmer. Here's the 1-2. Fought off down the line and fair. Doug Eddings was fixing his cap as that one came inside the chalk. And Hosmer sneaks it down the line. So Jace Tingler, the Padres' first-year manager, trying to keep this thing afloat right now. He was a college star at the University of Missouri, an all-conference performer. Best single-season win percentage in San Diego history. And A.J. Preller knew that the clock was ticking, and they brought Tingler in, and what a difference he's made in this season, Sut. A bright young manager in the game.
Yeah, he had pretty much every role you could have in that Texas Ranger organization. He got to know A.J. Preller there. They gained a lot of respect for each other. There you go. Well, I don't know what they're waiting on. You know that Wainwright's one of the best in baseball at throwing first pitch strikes. It's like they've tried to be patient, and you know what? The more patient you get, the bigger home plate's going to get. We've seen that with Corey Blazer for both sides tonight. I just don't know why they're not more aggressive offensively.
See if that tide starts to turn here. And Tingler was talking about Yadier Molina controlling the running game. He says there's other things we can do. There's a lot of guys in this lineup that have the opportunity and the power to put things on, put a hit and run on, get guys moving around. The veteran Mitch Moreland double-digit home runs this season.
It's interesting, Tommy. I'm texting in between innings with a lot of the former Padres, and Ryan Kleska was talking about how, you know, at night the ball just doesn't carry here. It never has. It doesn't at Dodger Stadium. They've moved the fences in here a couple of times to try to create more offense, but still, that might have been a part of the reason Moreland's ball didn't go out of the ballpark when he thought it would have. It should have.
Well, both teams staying playing in the same ballpark, where the Padres have now lost 8 consecutive postseason home games. Go back to the '98 NLCS to find their last postseason win here at home. And 2 franchises that have dramatically different postseason histories. 30 playoff appearances for the Cardinals, 11 World Series, and 3 head-to-head wins against the Padres. Padres with 6 playoff appearances.
Yeah, Tommy, I'll be honest with you. I mean, you know, you're a player that wants to go to the World Series. I mean, the Cardinals has been one of those destination spots that you look for. But I think San Diego has turned the corner in a lot of that. I think when you talked about them with all the deals that they made, they still kept their top 5 prospects. They got Mackenzie Gore, who's down there. I don't know if there's a game 3, if they're able to move on to another series, you might see him. We've heard about him. We know that he's been their top prospect the last couple of years. Patino is here. They've got a lot of options and a lot of opportunities to get even better in 2021.
Moreland came over from the Red Sox in a trade at the deadline, and he yanks it foul. Won the AL pennant with the Rangers in 2010 and 11. World Series championship with Boston in 2018. This is his 49th postseason game. The Padres, to a man after the struggles last night, said it's not like we put too much pressure on ourselves, but we are a better team when we're loose and having fun. And we just got to come out and play the game that we all grew up playing and enjoy. And they are a clubhouse full of personality.
I just think they're as they were last night, they're one swing away from getting that fun and that energy back that they've had all year long.
Wainwright's 2-2. It's lasered to right field. Hosmer stops at third, and the Padres have loaded the bases with nobody out. Three straight singles allowed by Adam Wainwright now.
There's some of that experience that we talked about with Mitch Moreland. He's not a guy that's going to let this moment be too big for him. What the interesting part is right now, Mike Maddox is going to come out. He's going to talk to Yadier Molina. What do you see what's going on here? But I can tell you one thing that even I could see from that third base dugout. That's 2 elevated fastballs out over the heart of the plate. That's not been the plan that we've had all along.
Cardinals will get their bullpen working. Austin Gomber now throwing. A last word from Molina to Wainwright.
Yeah.
Big job or small, you make sure things get done right. It's not a competition. It's just that you're not willing to settle. Not in your work, not in your hobbies, and never with your bourbon. Evan Williams. Bourbon done right.
Well, this is where the Padres become dangerous. Bases loaded. Now everybody's dangerous with the bases loaded, sure, but nobody in a time frame did what the Padres did. Most in Major League Baseball was 7 grand slams. It's the most in MLB history through 60 games. And Myers looks at a breaking ball from Wainwright, 0-1.
Just kind of looking at the numbers as we see the Slam Diego that everybody's been talking about here for the last 5 weeks. Myers is really the only guy on the Padres that stands out offensively against breaking balls. He might be a guy that could get underneath one of those curveballs.
And he pulls it down the line. Flag down by Edman to third for 1. Little late to get to first. The Padres get a run across, but only one. The versatile Edman kept that one from being an extra base hit for Myers.
You know what that reminds me of, partner? That reminds me of the ball that Trent Grisham hit in the first inning down the line. I mean, where do you got to hit a ball to get it past this defensive Cardinal? Athleticism there on the part of Myers to keep it from being a double play. But, I mean, that ball is down the line. That's just an outstanding play on the part of Edman, like it was with Goldschmidt on that ball down the first base line in the first inning.
So Austin Nola to the plate, and a big opportunity for the 8-hole hitter.
Tommy, you mentioned those trades and what they've done. We know that they made a great deal with Milwaukee. We know the deal with Tampa Bay worked out. But then the additions of Moreland and Nola and all of that, what they've done is added length to this lineup. There was a time when Cronenworth, who's hitting ninth, I mean, he would hit first or second. I mean, he was in the heart of the order. Now he's not, because they have gotten better.
2-0 to Nola.
Pedro talked about it kind of being an off day every fifth day with Waino on the mound and Molina behind the plate. Those wheels are spinning in his mind right now, knowing that Cronenworth's in the on-deck circle and Grisham after that. A couple of left-handed hitters that have been on base their last at bat against the veteran right-hander for the Cardinals.
Well, Wainwright has been dependable, but he's also been hit. And when he sent Mike Shildt a text on one of those nights in Chicago when they were trying to play and the bullpen was slammed, he said, "I got you. Give me the ball. I got you." But each of his last two starts in the regular season against Milwaukee and Kansas City, he took the loss. 3 runs allowed each time. 2-1.
Still counting on that generous strike zone of the home plate umpire, and still knowing that. He also knows that he's just one pitch away from getting out of this if he can get a ground ball at one of his infielders.
Edman guarded the line last time. The 2-1 is lifted to right field but foul.
Our conversation we had with Jace Tingler between innings, he said we need just to get one, and then maybe we could put up a crooked number. Well, they've got that one. They're thinking of a different type of double right now with Austin Nola at home plate.
Nola yanks this one down the line, foul the other way. Talked earlier about how Austin Nola reinvented his career. Middle infielder in the minors, decided to take up catching. He was at a great restaurant in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Rufino's, with one of his national championship teammates, Micah Gibbs, who was a catcher on the 09 LSU team. He said, "If I can't figure this thing out, I'm going into the Army. Can you help me catch?" Gibbs said by the time we'd worked out 3 days, I knew he was already better than me. And now here he is catching for the Padres. That one got away from Molina, and both runners will grab an extra 90.
I'll tell you what happened right there. Yadier Molina worried about the Padres' given location with him moving early. He moved early on that pitch to the inside part of the plate, and then he jumped back to the outside part of the plate and wasn't able to get himself in position to catch that breaking ball in the dirt. It was a late movement that he had that I think might have got his eyes moving a little bit, and he wasn't able to secure a ball that he has always been able to keep in front of him to keep the runners from advancing. Now that double play is out of order.
And pardon me, only one runner advanced.
Oh,
yeah, surprise
right
there. Missed opportunity for San Diego. Myers stayed at first. Wainwright didn't throw a wild pitch in the regular season.
What in the world was Will Myers thinking? I mean, there it is. It's down in the dirt. It's gone. You got to go. Wow. Another huge base running mistake made by the Padres, like they made a couple last night.
Last night, San Diego ran into 2 outs in the base paths, both Jake Cronenworth, the rookie. You would think Will Myers would know better.
I was kind of surprised, too, that like Nola at home plate didn't motion right away, too. I mean, Wayne Kirby, the first base coach, talking to him about, I was yelling for you to go. You don't want to run into it now. As you said, they did that last night. But I thought Nola could have helped him a little bit, too, knowing that ball was a long ways away from Molina.
Payoff to Nola. Just caught a stitch to stay alive.
Showing a lot of confidence in Austin Nola, that being manager Jace Tingler, putting the runner in motion. And I think it's easier to do that knowing that if it's a fastball, Nola's going to make contact with it. If it's an off-speed pitch, then Myers has enough speed to even beat the great arm of Yadier Molina.
Myers will be going again here on the 3-2, and Wainwright wants to touch up the rosin bag.
Think about a rule change that they made a couple of years ago. Remember when guys used to do that third to first move?
Yep.
And it would keep a runner at first from taking off on the first movement from a pitcher. Obviously, they can't do that anymore now, so that even gives you more of an opportunity to get a bigger jump over there at first base.
There he goes. Pitch is high. Molina won't bother because it's ball 4, and the Padres have the bases loaded again.
What an at bat. I'm trying to think of the last time the Padres got that kind of offense out of the catching position. You might have to go back to Mike Piazza.
That'll do it for Wainwright. The 39-year-old will exit with the bases loaded after 3 1/3 innings. Padres threatening. They haven't had the big hit yet in this series. Can they find one here in the 4th, down 3? Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. Adam Wainwright, the veteran right-hander, got the start in game number 2. He leaves after 3 1/3. 6 hits and 1 run, couple of walks. And he'll hand it off to Austin Gomber. Made a handful of starts with the Cardinals in the regular season. Product of Florida Atlantic University. 14 games and a 1.86 ERA. Gomber delivers a first pitch strike to the rookie Jake Cronenworth. Mitch Moreland at third, Will Myers at second, and Austin Nola at first after the walk. Mentioned the Padres base running miscues. Cronenworth, the rookie, had 2 of them last night. Chance to atone for it here. And he's quickly down in the count, 0-2.
Yeah, and we asked manager Jace Tingler about that. Was have you ever seen anything like that from Cronenworth? And he goes, no. He goes, I guarantee you that's the first time that ever happened in his career, even going back to high school.
Just off the plate with the fastball, 1-2.
Tommy, one of those starts that you talked about for Gomber was arguably the most important game of the year for these Cardinals. He started on Sunday against Milwaukee and had 4 outstanding innings, only allowing 1 run, giving them an opportunity to be here.
Missed with 96, 2-2 now.
Jace Tingler showing a lot of confidence in the rookie Jake Cronenworth here. Not going to his bench. He had Profar that he could have gone to. Obviously feeling comfortable for the left-hander against left-handed pitching.
Full count with the bases loaded in a 3-run game.
You were talking about Slam Diego earlier. Well, you know there's no place to put him. So as a hitter, you know he's got to throw a strike, and you're almost positive it's going to be a fastball.
It is, and he fouls it off.
Did a nice job, though, that being Gomber, staying on that outer part of the plate, not giving Cronenworth anything on the inner side part of the plate where most of his power is going to be.
Cronenworth, the National League Rookie of the Month in August, hit .355 at an OPS over 1,000. He drove in 16 in the month. And Gomber walks in a run. Problematic for St. Louis for a number of reasons, not the least of which is now you're a batter closer to Tatis and then Machado.
We talked about the deals that A.J. Preller was able to make, and you just think about how he was able to lengthen that lineup How about the last two at-bats by Austin Nola and Jake Cronenworth to draw base on ball, to get to a 3-2 count, fouling off pitchers' pitches. The next thing you know, keeping that line moving, turning it over to the top of the order where the Padres have had most of their success all year long.
Grisham has led off most of the season against right-handed starters this season. Here he is with the bases loaded, and Gomber misses again with the fastball. Yadier Molina saying, calm down. Talking with Cardinals pitchers, they said Yadier Molina is so good at slowing the game down when you get sped up.
I'll be honest, just thinking about what it might have been like in the bullpen, knowing how well Adam Wainwright had pitched all year, knowing that last year in his first two starts, he pitched 7 innings plus. He's got a big lead. I mean, you go to the bottom of the fourth, you're down there in that bullpen. You're a lot of these young guys like Gomber is. You're thinking, well, you know, they're not going to me. He might need, you know, the closer at the end of this game. Then all of a sudden, a couple of guys get on. The next thing you know, there's a couple of left-handers waiting. They tell Gomber to get up and throwing. And you talked about slowing things down. It's probably going as fast right now in the mind of Austin Gomber as it ever has.
Myers at third, Nola at second, and Cronenworth at first. Bases loaded for San Diego. And a strike into Grisham now, 1-1. Two and one. Boy, Sut, this is a must, right? You got Fernando Tatis waiting on deck.
I might have thought that Cronenworth was a must. I mean, if I'm on the mound, if I'm going to get beat, I'm going to make it be him. I'm going to throw a strike before we get to that 3-2 count, and he might get away from me.
3 balls and a strike now to Trent Grisham.
All of the potential that we talked about when we came on the air tonight, partner, with how talented that San Diego Padre team is and has been.
They can be an electrifying offense. They haven't been yet here in the postseason. Gomber already won bases loaded walk to Cronenworth a moment ago, and now the count full to Trent Grisham. Swing and a miss, got him at 94, and there's 2 down.
Finally found that outside corner that he's been looking for. He's been able to get ahead in the count, but he's not been able to put anybody away. It's outstanding command right there. Is the ball off the plate? Yeah, it is. Is it probably going to be called a strike? It has been all night. And it's so funny how from one pitch to another, the momentum and the excitement in both dugouts can change.
And this game can change with Fernando Tatis Jr. He's 1 for 2 in this game with a strikeout, and he's got the bases loaded.
You look at the numbers with Gomber this year, and they're about the same as far as when he's faced a left-handed hitter or a right-handed hitter. That's the first curveball that we've seen so far to get ahead in the count. A roll of the dice right here. Knowing what you were able to do with Tatis Jr. in game 1, bringing somebody in out of the bullpen.
Fastball fouled off of Molina's mask. Tatis 5th in baseball with a 1285 OPS with runners in scoring position this season. Swing and a miss at the fastball again. Back-to-back strikeouts from Gomber. And despite the bases loaded walk, it's another huge missed opportunity for San Diego. Tatis leaves the bases loaded to the delight of the Redbirds dugout. Far in this series.
Yeah, he really has. You think about the 5 guys that he left on base in game 1. That's just unlucky right there, that foul tip that only Yadier Molina could have held on to. And then after that, it's just an outstanding sequence. The breaking ball for a strike, and then he climbed the ladder with 2 fastballs. Look at that. 5 men left on base in each game, and we've still got a lot of baseball left.
Top of the order in the 5th for St. Louis. Colton Wong looks at a pitch, and he takes a 96-mile-an-hour strike. Wong, the rare postseason home run. 2-run shot in the 2nd. He hit 1 during the regular season. And he connected off Zach Davies to extend the Cardinals' advantage.
You get a lot of momentum going. Even though you didn't get enough runs to tie the game up, you got a lot of momentum. And as a pitcher right now in the 5th inning, you got to put up a 0, or else that momentum shifts back to the other dugout.
Adrian Morejon worked a scoreless 4th for San Diego. And a pitch in the dirt, 2-2. It's well documented what the Cardinals have gone through this season, and an unprecedented rush to finish as many games as they could. They got 58 games completed in the regular season thanks to 11 doubleheaders. And then they got to San Diego Sunday night, and they had 2 days off. It must have felt like Christmas break. Dropped in left field by Pham. Wong will end up at 2nd. And it's the Padres who are struggling mentally here tonight.
That just can't happen. I mean, you talk about a momentum shift. I mean, they don't come any more routine than that. I think about I don't believe what I just saw.
Yeah.
And the great Hall of Famer Jack Buck. That can't happen. I mean, that wow.
And now Tommy Edman at the plate.
We know that it was a change made by manager Jace Tingler. We know that Tommy Pham was a DH in game 1, and largely in part because of what you just saw right there, the defensive problems that he's had throughout his career. But you just don't expect that. That gum in Tingler's mouth is taking a beating right now.
2-0 now, the count to Tommy Edman. So back to the Cardinals' regular season schedule. That was such a grind. Mike Schilt has been saying, you know, a day off for our guys consisted of, I don't know, maybe DHing in game 2 of a doubleheader. Playing the regulars daily. Little flare to left and a running catch made now by Pham. Wong's all smiles. 1 down. And then they get to San Diego. It's not like they can go to the beach or anything, but they got 2 days off. And it was interesting what Adam Wainwright said about the game yesterday. He said, our guys are rested. I'm just waiting to see them blow up offensively.
You know, I loved it, Tommy, when you asked Mike Schilt the question about that and what those 2 off days were like. He didn't need to say a word. You could see what it meant to him with that smile on his face.
Padres will make a pitching change here. Morejon is out. He'll leave with 1 on and 1 out, and the Cardinals up by 2.
Tell Siri, show me the MLB postseason schedule.
You know, when I first heard that ad, I thought they said you want to stay up late, and I did stay up late watching the Dodgers last night and the Yankees before that, and a lengthy game, the longest in regular, a 9-inning game, the longest time-wise. The ALDS is set. That side of the bracket is moving on, and still tickets to be punched on the National League side. Pedro, you learned that there's some teams out there with some very interesting travel plans. Get to Pedro.
Tom, the Houston Astros are going to play the Oakland A's in L.A. at Dodger Stadium. However, the Astros are staying in Minnesota to work out at Target Field, and the reason is they don't know if that series is going to be over tonight, and they needed a place to work out tomorrow. So they're staying there so that they can use Target Field. They'll either fly tomorrow night to L.A. or Saturday morning.
Goldschmidt at the plate with a count 1-1 with Colton Wong at second. There are a lot more restrictions due to COVID-19 in California as well. Do you think that played in to their plans to stay in Minnesota for another day or two?
I was told that was only about 10% of the equation. That if the Dodgers, if they knew they could get a workout in at Dodger Stadium, they would have gone, because they have not been to Dodger Stadium all season long. So that definitely. Well, actually, they have. They're in the National League. They did play NL West, but only 2 games at Dodger Stadium.
Fly ball to center field. Moving is Wong, and the throw is just a hair late. And Wong picks up an extra 90 on the fly out from Goldschmidt.
I think about it, guys, as you're talking about that and all the travel. How about to be a traveling secretary for a major league team right now? I mean, you got to secure the hotel, you got to have the bubble, you've got to have food. I mean, there's just so many things that have to be done that have never been like this before.
And in the Cardinals case,
those guys aren't sleeping.
No, and in the Cardinals case, that meant
sorry, Tom.
Meant arranging rental cars for everybody to drive from St. Louis to Chicago, a road trip unlike they had ever seen before. Dylan Carlson at the plate. Austin Adams misses low. 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know, we talked about that a couple times last night, and Austin Nola back there at breaking ball in the dirt. We've already seen one that got by Yadier Molina and had a runner move up 90 feet. This guy, as you mentioned many times, I mean, just started catching not long ago. And I mean, he looked like Brad Ausmus back there. One of the best that I ever saw at blocking balls in the dirt.
Drops to his knee. That one got Carlson in the foot. Did it get him in the chin too? That was a heck of a carom. It may have gotten him twice. The rookie Carlson will take first. Runners at the corners now.
Filthy breaking ball down and in. Take a look at Nola trying to get over there. Ooh.
That was quite a 1-2 punch.
I'll be honest with you, though, and I know it's Yadier Molina, and I know what he's done throughout his career. If I'm Adams in that spot right now, I don't think I want to deal with Carlson. And what a huge pick-me-up after that error on the ball dropped in left field. This would be for the Padres to get this out.
Molina had 3 hits last night. Pham battled eye conditions early in his season, early in his career. When he was with the Cardinals, they found some medication and upgraded his contacts. Basically what made it possible for him to be a big leaguer. And you never know with that drop fly ball in the corner if the eyesight played a role, if it was just lack of focus.
That's a great question. And you know what? You see him squinting and doing a lot of things with that right now. You just wonder. It was a contact situation, the lens that they had to get right, and they finally did.
To Tatis. Low throw, and it pulled Hosmer off the bag, but he's able to get back there to kick the pillow before Molina could reach.
Well, in Fernando Tatis's jersey. thus far in these first 2 games. I mean, what a pick-me-up there on the part of Adams and on the part of the Gold Glover, Eric Hosmer, at first base. This throw gets by. Who knows what happens? We've still got a game because of that defense.
Well, just like last night, the Cardinals jump out to an early lead, 4-0 through the first 2 innings. Padres add a pair in the 4th, but unable to get any more in. They left the bases loaded last inning with Fernando Tatis striking out. So Manny Machado leads off the 5th. Machado is 0 for 2, bounced into a double play in the 1st, struck out looking against Adam Wainwright in the 3rd.
Still looking for that home run, aren't they, partner?
Yeah. To short, DeYoung. Oh, that throw was high and pulled Goldschmidt off the bag, and Manny Machado reaches. Only 4 errors from DeYoung in the regular season.
You know, and he only had 7 last year, and he played in just about every game, but he pulled Paul Goldschmidt off. He's not able to get the tag down there. And I tell you what, you know, you might think, all right, it's a postseason game. Manny Machado's going to hustle. We know that that hadn't always been the case in the past. But I'll tell you what, having been here in San Diego for what, you know, since baseball picked up again, he has been doing that all year long. He has set an example, knowing that Fernando Tatis's eyes are always going to be on him, knowing that there's a lot of younger players that look to him for leadership. And right there's a prime example. Yeah, it's easy to do when you're in a win or go home type of game. You're in the postseason. I give Manny a lot of credit for what he's done as far as effort is concerned this whole year.
Goldschmidt never got the tag on him. This one shouldn't take long.
I mean, obviously, from my basement, I can't see whether Goldschmidt motioned to the dugout to review it or not, but he knew he didn't get him.
What can you see in your basement?
It's dark. You know, and the funny part, if I just could go to the other side of the room, I mean, obviously the ocean's there. I mean, I can see that. Yeah, I got 4 levels of ocean view, and I'm in the basement.
Wow.
I'll be honest with you. You know, Tommy, we've talked about this a lot. I mean, I'm honored. I'm thrilled to be here, happy. I mean, a lot of people did a lot more difficult things than we have, but just to have baseball back, just to have a live sport that people can enjoy and for a couple of hours just get away from everything else.
Hosmer fights that one to the right side. Wong spins, 1 out at second, back to first, and a big double play for St. Louis.
Boy, there's nobody happier about that ground ball than that of Paul DeYoung. Knowing he set up an opportunity with the power of the Padres, you never know when they might tie it up. Colton Wong just is outstanding. I mean, he always made a terrific play, but early in his career, he had problems with routine plays like that. The ball might have bounced out of his glove. He might not have made a good throw. They might not have completed the double play. Those days are long gone for the Gold Glove Award winner.
He and Fernando Vina, the only second baseman in franchise history to win a Gold Glove. I want you to finish your thought, though, Sut, before that double play. Just to have baseball back and to make it to this postseason, a lot of folks didn't think this was possible, and it took a lot of people to put together their hard work to get to this point.
A lot of sacrifices made from the owners and the players, and just so proud of Tony Clark and the Players Association and what Major League Baseball has done to get back on the field. And you know what, we've talked to the Cardinals, we've talked to Miami, and I mean, they were so close to throwing in the towel
or having the towel thrown in on them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all of a sudden this equipment started showing up, and we were told to put it in the basement. I had to get me a bigger modem or whatever that is. The thing down here is bigger that gives me a better signal down here. But I mean, you laugh at it, but you just think about everything that everybody has gone through to bring baseball back. And I mean, I think back to a couple of months ago when finally there was live golf on television. And normally I'm the guy that might tape it or whatever. I might watch it later in the night after playing or whatever. I mean, I sat there and watched all 4 days live just because I was so excited to see something I didn't know the outcome to.
Fowler racing in. That will drop between he and Wong. Tommy Pham's got a 3-hit game. I just wanted you to talk a little bit more about the size of your modem. Now playing on ESPN. This MLB Best of 3 Wild Card Series continue tonight and again tomorrow. Plus, Game 2 of the NBA Finals between the Heat and Lakers is tomorrow at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific on ABC. It's all now playing on ESPN and the ESPN app. I'm with you. I watched more NASCAR this summer than I'd ever seen before in my life.
Yeah. Our good buddy Eduardo Perez is so mad that my modem is bigger than his.
Jace Tingler has really one card to play in this game now, and it's Jurickson Profar, who will pinch hit in Mitch Moreland's spot. 1 on and 2 out for the switch hitting Profar.
Hey, Tommy, don't you love it when a manager is so honest with us when we look at the lineup and we ask him a question why? And exactly what he tells you is what all of a sudden late in the game you're able to see. I've been so impressed with Jace Tingler all year long and his leadership and his honesty.
Well, that's because you've been to a Chiefs tailgate with him. You guys have history.
He said that's where I first met him. I mean, come on, after a Chiefs win at a tailgate party?
I guarantee you weren't talking about your modem that night.
I didn't know what one was back then.
Pinch hit appearance for Profar with a runner at first and a curveball hit into center field. Racing in Bader, short hops it, and Pham is going to stop at second base. Profar wasted no time, and the Padres have 2 on with 2 out.
You talked about that excitement, and Jace Tingler, when you ask him the question about everything going on and his team having fun, they've been looking for that fun. It's almost like everybody took their teeth out and set them aside after that 4-run first inning. Mike Shildt right now trying to push all the right buttons that he did in Game 1 when he went to that Cardinal bullpen.
And Shildt will make a change here. Gomber leaves with 2 on, but 2 out. They'll go to the hard-throwing Helsley. 4-2 Cardinals lead. Back in a moment. 2020 Wild Card Series presented by Hankook Tire. Another opportunity for the Padres. And they'll face Ryan Helsley. He threw an inning and a third in Game 1. Allowed a hit and struck out 1. He brings the Heat average fastball velocity 96.8.
Well, we know what he did in the postseason last year. He was almost perfect, or about as close as you can come to it. And if you're trying to put out a fire and you're trying to put up a 0 to hold on to this lead, this is one of the better options to go to from any bullpen in baseball.
Padres were historically good with runners in scoring position this season. Not so much over the last game and a half. Tonight, 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position.
This year's got to mean so much to Will Myers, knowing that he's been with these Padres the last several years and gone through a lot of losing. They've lost over 90 games each of the last 4 seasons. Knowing that back in 2013 when he made it to the postseason with Tampa Bay, he went 2 for 24.
The longest tenured Padre. Chance to be a difference maker. Can't find 99. First time Helsley has dialed it up.
Well, he's definitely not going to find it with a swing that was as long as that one is. That's a swing for back when Adam Wainwright was on the mound. You might have timed 90 miles an hour with that one. You better shorten up a little bit and try to make contact.
Wainwright's average fastball 89. Helsley's nearly 99, and 100 now to catch Myers looking. Padres have stranded 7 in the last 3 innings. Cardinals lead by 2. Game is tonight on ESPN. It's the sun sets in Southern California. ESPN Deportes and the ESPN app will have game 2 between the Brewers and Dodgers at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Dodgers have a chance to clinch behind Clayton Kershaw tonight. 4-2. Cardinals lead the Padres as we head to the 6th. A St. Louis win would advance the Cardinals to the next round. A Padres win will extend the series to tomorrow. Paul DeYoung leads off the 6th. Awesome Adams back out there for San Diego. DeYoung 0 for 2 in this one. What a wild season it's been for this St. Louis organization. Baseball world was watching when the Marlins had to put their season on pause, and then before you knew it, it was St. Louis. They're sequestered in their hotel in Milwaukee with guys throwing baseballs into mattresses and pillows. Couldn't go out to eat, couldn't leave their room. Training staff dropped a couple of baseballs off in everybody's room and said, hey, if you want to throw, move across the room and throw. Jack Flaherty said the biggest question I had was when I threw into the mattress the first time, how far back was it going to bounce and would it come off hard? He said, I learned it didn't really bounce that much. There's been some very soft mattresses. And if you thought the Pfister Hotel in Milwaukee was haunted before, what if you had the room next to Flaherty? Leadoff walk to DeYoung. So here's what the Cardinals season breakdown looks like. 16 consecutive games missed with COVID-19 related postponements. They had to jam 53 games into a 44-day span to get to 58 on the season. Their pitching and defense have been fantastic. The offense has come alive in the postseason. And they finally punched their playoff spot with a win on the final day. Both the Cardinals and Brewers celebrated at Busch Stadium on that final day. After the leadoff walk, Padres are going to make another change. They'll go back to the bullpen for Matt Strom with nobody out in the 6th. The mound for the second time in as many days, 19 appearances in the regular season. He was shaken up a bit after his performance last night. He lasted 2/3 of an inning. He's had a knee issue over the course of the season. Now, when he showed up today, he went to Jace Tingler and he said, I'm good. I can go. I can give you innings. Now, Sut, you know as well as anybody, when a pitcher says, I'm good, that can have different meanings depending on who's saying it.
Well, and I'll guarantee you Jace Tingler was watching what we were watching as he came in to warm up, and how gingerly he came in, and how when he walked around the mound there was a little bit of a limp to it. I mean, you know how much, I mean, this would mean to somebody to have an opportunity to pitch in the postseason, knowing how much your team needs you, knowing how many relievers had to come in last night to try to get through that game, knowing what happened with Zach Davies only going 2 innings tonight. You know, you just want to be one of the guys, and I gain a lot of respect for Matt Strom and what he's trying to do here.
He has befuddled lefties this season, just 5 for 43 in the regular season against him. He's got Carpenter here, the switch hitter, Fowler to follow.
You know, I watch him right now and thinking about that knee injury that you guys were talking about. It kind of reminds you of Andrew Miller a little bit, the big left-hander down there in that Cardinals bullpen, and the knee issues that he had when he was trying to be a starting pitcher.
Fastball misses low, 2-1. How are the different ways a knee injury would impact your mechanics as a pitcher?
Well, you're going to shorten up your stride. You're going to soften that landing foot. You've heard me talk many times about that landing foot's a brake. You got to put on the brake so that you can get out in front. And his brake, he might need a new brake pad. See him hop right there? I mean, he's in pain right now. And I mean, it goes back forever. Guys that favor something maybe from the knee down, and they end up hurting something from the waist up, your shoulder or whatever. He just tried to get off that leg as quick as he possibly could.
You can see a brace on the inside of that right knee when the pants come taut. A little circle on top of the kneecap. 2-2 to Carpenter. Top edge of the zone, didn't get the call, full count.
I mean, his stuff looks to be as good as it's ever been. Upper 90s with that fastball. You got that big sweeping breaking ball. You just wonder if he's got the command to throw a strike here with the count full.
Rough regular season for Matt Carpenter. Pretty good postseason so far. He's 1 for 2 in this one with a double.
Man, he looks like the Matt Carpenter that back for a period of about 4 years was elite, like 2015 through 2018. He was one of the league leaders in home runs with 36 back in 2018 for the Cardinals. I just think this role as a DH, I think it's going to add a couple more years to the career of Matt Carpenter if it stays in the National League.
There's ball 4 low. Couple of walks in this inning, 2 on. Download the MLB app to get in-game video highlights, live pitch by pitch, breaking news, player updates, stat leaderboards, and much more. Extra Fowler to the plate now. Carpenter had an interesting quote last week of the regular season, and he said, if we make the playoffs, and of course they did, I think it would be an amazing story of perseverance, grit, and nothing short of a miracle, to be honest with you. And I think whenever the season ends for this St. Louis franchise, we will learn more and more the sacrifices that they had to make just to finish the year.
I think about the leadership, and I think about it starting with John Mozeliak, their president, and all of the transactions that they had to make. I think it was like 150 from the 24th of July to get to this point, to get back to being on the field. All of the major league debuts. Mike Shildt was talking about guys that were coming up and pitching for him that he had never met before.
They had 2 pitchers throw this season during one of the series in Chicago where they restarted, who hadn't thrown live batting practice even all season, including spring training. 151 transactions from opening day to September 27th. 13 major league debuts, including 4 in the same game. They probably ran out of "hello, my name is" name tags. Fowler into right field. He's going to dump it up against the fence for an extra base hit. DeYoung has scored. Carpenter stops at third, and St. Louis takes a 5-2 lead.
How about that? I mean, you just think about Matt Carpenter and Dexter Fowler and the struggles they've had the last couple of years, and what are they doing in the lineup? I think a lot of that has to do with their track records and the confidence that Mike Shildt has in those veteran guys in moments like this. You got a 0-2 pitch right there. I mean, you had to be tempted to possibly put down the bunt. No, you don't put down the bunt. You know that last year in the postseason, Dexter Fowler really struggled. All of a sudden, you hope for a mistake after the back-to-back sack walks, you get a mistake, and the next thing you know, if there was a crowd here right now, it would be silenced.
Mm-hmm. Well, the cardboard cutouts haven't said much. 1-0 now to Harrison Bader. Singled home a run in the second, came around to score. 26-year-old product out of the University of Florida. 4th year with the Cardinals, big league level.
And you just never know when things are going to click for a guy offensively. We talked about it with Paul Goldschmidt. It's rare to get that combination of run production and also run prevention. We saw the play that ended the game last night with Bader going to the wall and elevating, taking extra base hits away from people.
Bader closed the regular season in style. He tripled, and he hit a home run up into Big Mac land that was amazing for its placement. Fred Bird, the Cardinals mascot, had just been up in that same section where he was doing a painting. He left the painting on the easel. And Bader, moments later, hit a home run that went directly into the painting.
You know he can run, and obviously he's got a lot of power. I did not know that story. I knew he had a home run and a triple in that 5-2 win. I mean, that was a crucial ball game for the Cardinals to win. You didn't know if they were going to have to go to Detroit and play one game. They may not have to play two. You didn't know if they were going to be the number 5 seed, 6 seed, 7 seed, 8 seed. And there was even a chance that if they played both games and they lost, that they wouldn't even be in the postseason.
Yeah, and to be fair, I don't know that any other of Fred Bird's works are hanging in the Louvre. So they would much rather have had the home run from Bader. Those 2 days that they got off after arriving in San Diego late Sunday night seemed to be restorative to the nth degree for this Cardinals roster. Bader yanks it foul.
It hasn't been much of a series thus far for starting pitching.
No.
Guys have just not been able to get deep into the ball game. You've gone into the bullpen for a lot more, many more times than what you'd want to. But that fun that Jay Stingler was talking about that they had all year in that Padres dugout that they needed to get back into this game and possibly win it, that fun is back over there on the third base side.
Through this series, the Cardinals have come up with big hits when they matter the most. The Padres, one of the best in baseball with runners in scoring position during the regular season, just 2 for 12.
Man, that is a lot of traffic for the Padre pitching staff to give up.
Tonight, Redbirds 4 for 9 with 5 ribbies. Breaking ball pulled foul past Carpenter's down at third. Behind Pop Warner, third base coach.
What a great baseball name, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Ron Warner. You got to go with Pop.
I mean, Pop Warner's a pretty good football name too, to be fair.
Yeah.
Two balls and 2 strikes to Bader. What a difference a day makes. 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts in game 1 for Bader. And Mike Shildt said, I like what he does, and he can still be productive for us. And oh, by the way, he's had success against Zach Davies. And lo and behold, Bader delivered an RBI single against him his first at bat.
Well, we also know that Mike Shildt had a lot of patience with him when this year started. Bader started out with a 3 for 24, trying to get out of the gate. You know that they went 2 and 3 in those first 5 games, and they had a lot of time off, so there's just a lot of frustration that Mike Shildt had to deal with and had to continue to look at.
You've brought the point up before in this series, but it's almost impossible, as Bader goes down swinging, to really judge this Cardinals production over the course of the season, given everything that they've been through.
I think about what they did last year, and I know about Tommy Edman coming up and the spark that he gave them. I think about how they held off the Brewers and the Cubs to win that division. I think about what these guys are capable of doing, but I mean, we've talked to many people that have had the virus, whether it be in baseball or anywhere else. The fatigue that sets in and how long it takes to get back to 100%. I remember Ricky Renteria talking about Moncada, and he said this is one of the hardest working guys we've ever had, but because of the virus, he gets fatigued so quick that he's not able to put that work in to be the special player that he's been.
It's a Cardinals roster that's been exhausted over the course of the regular season. Let's take a look at StatCast, powered by Google Cloud, and go back to Wong's at bat in a second.
Well, he's a guy that in his postseason career has struggled a lot. Hits have been really hard to come by. Home runs have been hard to come by this year. You know, the thing about him, he struggled mightily at home this year. He has thrived on the road, as he has done thus far tonight.
Doesn't really make much sense, does it?
I think a lot of times those numbers have to do with, you know, who did you face?
Yes, especially in a season like this, right?
Yeah, did you, you know, you go on the road and, you know, you go to L.A. and you face Kershaw and Buehler, or you know, or did you go to Colorado and, you know, face Johnny Holstaff up there for a couple of games?
And sometimes it's not who you face, but when you faced them. And certainly facing these Padres without Lamet and Clevenger, much different staff. Little roller up the line, backhanded to take care of them. 2 down with Carpenter coming home. Here's John Brickley.
Tom, game 2 still to come. Dodgers looking for the sweep of the Braves. Clayton Kershaw is on the bump tonight for L.A. looking to exercise his postseason demons. A 9-11 career record in October, but this year it's been a bit of a renaissance for the left-hander, trying to get the Dodgers in the divisional series. First pitch coming up in 15 minutes over on ESPN2. Tom, Sut, back to you.
All right, thanks. It's the Dodgers and Brewers to follow us. Braves able to sweep the Reds in advance elsewhere in the National League. Padres make another change. They trail 6-2 with a runner on and 2 out in the top of the 6th. ERA over 4. It was thought that he might get a chance to start for the Padres in game 3, and maybe still, but he's on the mound here. And Sut, an inauspicious debut when he came out of the bullpen. Got a little wonky on his first warm-up toss.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot to learn about being a reliever. Watch what happens to his landing foot. We talk about it being the break. That break just, look at. I mean, that thing slid, what, maybe 2-3 inches, and then he spun out on it because, I mean, there was just no break. I mean, he was just off and running towards home, and really fortunate that he didn't do some damage to that knee like we were talking about with Matt Strahm.
10 starts before 4 relief outings to close out the regular season for Richards. Facing Tommy Edman.
Richards was outstanding last night. If Mike Scioscia's watching right now, I had to remind him of what he had as a starting pitcher and how it looked to be the ace of that staff for a long time until Garrett Richards ran into some injuries.
0-2 now to Edman.
There was a time if you talk to any general manager in baseball and you ask him, tell me who's got give me the top 5 pitchers in baseball as far as stuff is concerned, this name would have been on probably every one of those lists.
Big spin rate guy, 4-seamer and curveball. 2,600 spin rate, the 4-seamer. That's 98th percentile to Cronenworth. And that'll close the Cardinals 6. They get a couple more across. 6-2 St. Louis. The Wild Card Series is presented by Hankook Tire. Never halfway. Petco Park playing host to the postseason for the first time in 14 years. The Cardinals left with the win then, and looks like they're on the way to doing it again here tonight. 6-2 lead as we go to the home half of the 6th inning. Genesis Cabrera now on the mound for St. Louis. 2.42 ERA in the regular season.
Yeah, partner, I have to agree with you that it's gotten to the point in the game where Mike Shildt is really comfortable with the guys he brings in from that bullpen. They're coming in with a lot of velocity. They're going to come in and fill up that strike zone just as they did in the game on Sunday against Milwaukee, and of course what they did in game 1 here against the Padres.
Cardinals bullpen pitched to a 3.96 ERA during the regular season. That was 3rd best in the National League. Now you got to wonder, you think about the stress that the Cardinals have been under to get their games in the regular season. But because they played 11 doubleheaders, and Molina's not happy with Cabrera, because they played so many doubleheaders, and doubleheaders only being 7 innings, it's not a whole lot of wear and tear on his pitching staff.
I think that was a brilliant move, and I know a lot of people talked about it not being baseball. People complained about the 10th inning starting with a man on second. I think all of those things were important and a big part of baseball being able to get to this point where we have some playoffs.
Would you like to see that rule stick around?
I'd like to see the 10th inning rule stick around, but no. No, not. I think we need to get back to when we have double hitters playing all 9 innings. And I love that shot that they had right there of Mike Maddox, and just thinking about this young bullpen that he has had to nurture. He had to help build together with that confidence. I remember when Mike Maddox was in Texas and where he's been around, asking some people what makes him so good, and they talked about him being complete. I said, what's that? Well, in all 3 phases, the books, the mechanics, and the mental side of it. And when you think about the young guys, Cabrera right now, there's not a whole lot of book involved. You're good. You got a good fastball. Throw your fastball for a strike. Now, here's what mechanically you have to do, and then you start working from the neck up, telling them how good they are.
Missed the top of the zone. Molina going to go have a word. It was a 4-pitch walk to Nola.
This will be a one-way conversation here. Young man, you want to stay in the big leagues? You got an opportunity to be a hero. You got an opportunity to get us to the next level, but you're not going to do it like this. I mean, look at that.
I love it.
Slap him. That's what leadership's all about. And if I'm telling you out of here right now, the first thing I go out, I get on him. But the second thing I do is tell him to just play catch. When you play catch, young man, you're special. That velocity has some carry to it.
Mike Shildt looking for some clarification. Bill Miller, the crew chief, coming in. Curious about the Padres batting order, it looks like. Remember, they had Profar come in and pinch hit for Moreland. That's the only change we've seen. We were talking with Jack Flaherty today and asked him about Yadier Molina and how he makes pitchers better. And he gave a very well thought out answer that was thorough. But within that answer set, he used one word that I think everybody can come back to, and it's trust. I trust Yadier Molina behind the plate, that he's been in these situations. He's worked with great pitchers. He knows what we need to do to be successful. So you mentioned the fact that there's not a whole lot of shakes. There's not much questioning that guy behind the plate.
What a great word. What a great word in any phase of life, but having somebody that you trust. I bet that they trust Molina more than you trust your modem. I have no faith whatsoever in this modem. It's gone out on me so many times that I've looked at my screen and nothing there. And I'm supposed to talk about what's happening.
Full count to Cronenworth. Drew a bases loaded walk last time up. He draws another walk.
Wow. You just go back to the top of the 6th inning and the gifts of 90 feet that the Padres gave to the Cardinals. They walked the first 2 guys. Both of them come around to score. Well, let me return the favor. The Cardinals pitching staff is telling the Padres with the first 2 walks.
It's Grisham now, then Tatis to follow. We talked about Jace Tingler being a big Chiefs fan and that remarkable comeback that Pat Mahomes led in their first playoff game against the Texans, where the Padres lead all of baseball with 22 come from behind victories this season. And maybe they're getting it started early, because in the 7th inning or later, they lead baseball in runs scored.
You know, and another thing he says, he goes, we have a couple of Patrick Mahomes down here in our dugout. And I think one of them he was talking about is that young man right there. I don't know how you compare anybody to Patrick Mahomes right now.
Padres have had the bases loaded a couple of times tonight. Beautiful pitch. And Grisham goes down looking. That was strike 3.
You know, I think that Mike Shield had his mind made up that after this at bat he was going to the bullpen no matter what. He's going to bring in a right-hander to face Tatis and Machado. But after watching that breaking ball right there, if he's got the feeling he can repeat it, maybe he wants to see more, or maybe he didn't.
Cabrera didn't waste much time getting off, and that'll bring Giovanni Gallegos into the game for St. Louis. So here's what the bracket looks like. Still to come later tonight. In fact, in mere moments, the Brewers and Dodgers from Chavez Ravine. Dodgers can wrap that one up with the win. They're on ESPN2 right now. The Reds didn't score a run in their 2 games against the Braves. They got a couple of home runs from Duvall and Osuna today, and Freddie Freeman's walk-off hit yesterday. So that's the lone National League team that have their spot. Marlins and Cubs postponed today. They'll play tomorrow afternoon. Tom Hart, Rick Sutcliffe. As bad as San Diego has looked, and to be honest, they've looked at times disinterested and unfocused in this game. They're still right there in prime position because of the firepower in this batting order. What does it take for San Diego to light that fuse?
Well, I think it's the guy coming to home plate right now. You know, when you talk about, you had a great number on all the runners that have been left on base and the lack of production with runners in scoring position. I mean, thus far in these first game and a half, it starts right there. Fernando Tatis not doing the things that he did during the regular season. And for me, a lot of that is the strikeout. Yeah, he played 60 games. He struck out 58 games. He struck out 61 times. That would be a big number over 162 games. But he also did a lot of damage, and that's what they need to happen, and they need it to happen right now.
And remember, Tatis got off to this wonderful MVP caliber start, but he did peter off towards the end of the regular season. They need him to get going once again, and they have an opportunity here against St. Louis in this Cardinals bullpen, which had been so good, and then Cabrera walked the first 2 of the inning.
Okay, we know that this year they only played against the National League West and the American League West. So they've not seen, he's not faced a lot of these guys that are coming out of the Cardinal bullpen. So he's been patient. He's been taking some pitches to try to see the release point, see what they got or whatever. Well, you know what? The number one thing that he had success doing this year was swinging at that first pitch. I think he might need to do that now if he can get something near the strike zone.
Padres 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position tonight. Giovanni Gallegos on the mound now for St. Louis. Only appeared in 13 games in the regular season, but tied for the St. Louis team lead with 4 saves.
Giovanni came over from the New York Yankees. They need him to be good because they gave up a lot. It was Luke Voigt that went to the Yankees in that trade. He's picked up 4 saves during the regular season. 93 to 96 with a wipeout slider.
Missed upstairs to Tatis. Padres today 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Fernando Tatis is 1 for 3. The 1-0 fouled off of Molina's face mask. Nobody's happy right now.
Got to be the toughest man in all of baseball. You know that the catchers have to be the toughest guy. Look at that. Come on. I'm done. That happens to me one time. I'm done. I'm telling you, I'm going back to my basement. I'm going to turn my modem up to full blast, and I'm just going to cry. Look at him. I mean, his eyes are still blinking. They're watering, but he doesn't miss a beat.
That would have knocked your goatee cleaned off.
Oh. How does he do it? How does he sit back there and take 4 or 5 of those every night? He got people running into him at home plate. Yeah.
And it's not just catching. It's the toll that the body takes playing every day. Earlier this season, Yadi fouled a pitch off of his foot, and Mike Schilt went out to check on his catcher. And on his way back to the dugout, he turned to the assistant athletic trainer, Chris Conroy, and he said, gosh, I'm so worried about his toes. Can you imagine what they look like? And Conroy said, toes? He doesn't have toes in those spikes. Those are just dust by now. First player in Major League history to play 15 consecutive seasons with 100 games or more behind the plate.
And as we know, by far the best ability in any sport is availability. You know, you talk about right now the game being on the line, and Giovanni's just going to go to his book right now. Molina touched something on his body to change the signs with a man on second, so that's what they're doing there. They don't want to mix up right here. You talk about this game possibly being on the line right here. You also know that you're talking about possibly the Padres season.
They need a win tonight to keep this magical season going. Still can't get it straight. You got to put the card in the back pocket. And Molina will go through the sequence as soon as Tatis is set.
Well, I don't know how many times they've been to the mound, but
two pitch. This one ripped to left field and gone in a hurry. Tatis delivers the electricity with a 3-run shot. No crowd, but the DJ's spinning, the lights are flashing, and the Padres are back in this game thanks to Fernando Tatis Jr.
Could that be the Padres version of Patrick Mahomes? Coming up big like that in a huge moment is one of the things that the Kansas City Chiefs quarterback has done throughout his career. And look at the energy that he has brought to that dugout. And Jace Tingler told us before this series started that the energy that Tatis Jr. brings with him is contagious. Spinning, breaking ball, middle part of the plate. He saw a couple of those on the first 2 pitches of this at bat. He knew exactly what he was looking for. He knew the spin of it. And now he's yelling at everybody, hop on this bus that I'm getting ready to drive.
He said they're playing for the whole cake. They're down 1 now. And now Machado. Those 2 walks have both come home to score. Manny Machado is 1 for 3. I'm glad that postseason baseball is happening. I can't help but think what this ballpark would sound like right now if Padres fans were allowed to walk through the door.
They would hear it from L.A. to Tijuana.
Like if there's a foul ball, do you want that?
2 balls and a strike to Manny Machado. Pedro, what's it sound like there?
Well, the volume's definitely been cranked up. No doubt about it. When the Padres have been threatening, the DJ has cranked it up. But before the game, Manny Machado on his Zoom call did say, you have no idea how bad this city has been waiting for something like this, and not to be able to be here hurts. But he said he's had guys who come into third base say to him during this season, if this crowd was allowed in here, this place would be incredibly rowdy. This city is known for that, he said.
Upstairs, Machado shaking his head at Gallegos. That energy, the swagger is back now with these Padres and those clean-looking white and brown pinstripes.
Just kind of thinking about when Gallegos came into the game in game 1 in the 6th inning with a couple of guys on. He was able to get the strikeout with Fernando Tatis Jr. Fernando Tatis Jr. punching him back. Kind of just reading the facial expression from Manny there. It was kind of like, I know that was a ball. I know that was ball 4. But you know what? This home plate for both sides from Corey Blazer has been wide. It might have been something that he called strike 3. And I can't take that chance. I got to try to get a piece of it to possibly get another mistake.
$16 home runs in the regular season for Machado. Just 1 off of Tatis's pace. And that one's launched to left field. They go back to back. Padres have tied it with Tatis and Machado. Only the grounds crew is rowdy. Tatis dialed in. And 2 guys that have followed each other all season have now powered the Padres back into this game.
It was almost like offensively they were asleep. I know they scored 4 runs last night, but they had a lot of opportunities to score a lot more than that, and they weren't able to do that. The gifts that the St. Louis Cardinals gave them to start off the bottom of the 6th inning. Those 2 walks set the table for the 2 guys that have done it all year long. And there was no doubt of doubt, either one of those home runs. Here we go. Feed me, I'm hot.
And now Hosmer swings at the first. Goldschmidt will take it himself. 2 down in the 6th. Tough to find a team that hits the ball harder than the Padres.
You know, I totally agree with you, and we've talked about that from top to bottom, and the combination of power and speed. You're not going to see the speed in this series because of the arm strength behind the plate of Yadier Molina, but we have been waiting. We talked about that power before this series even started. The Padres have been waiting. Where's it at? It's been there all year long. It took a while, but here it is.
Padres have an average exit velocity this season of 89.8 miles an hour. That's second highest in the big leagues behind the Dodgers. And their two stars have hit the cover off the ball this inning. Tommy Pham, 1-1.
Let me ask you a question, Tommy. I've had a lot of people the last couple of weeks ask me, is this infield of the Padres, is it the best in baseball? I say yes. I know that Atlanta's got some tools down there. I know the Cubbies, when healthy, have some resumes there. I think right now this is the best infield in baseball.
You're talking all the way across, huh? Pham jumps on that one deep left field. It's off the fence. Carlson can't find it. It's up to Bader. His throw comes into third to hold Tommy Pham to a double, and it's now a 4-hit game for Pham.
You're talking about an offense right now that all year long has been productive from 1 through 9. You're talking about right now 6 different guys that have scored runs in this ball game out of the 9. This is what they've done all year long. And you just wonder if any of this would have happened had Nola and Cronenworth not battled and drawn those base on balls to give the big boys an opportunity to come through.
That ball was hit so hard it fooled the folks who run the stadium lights. They started flicking the LEDs because they thought it was a home run. Ball was still in play.
I'm surprised those lights still work with all of the home runs that the Padres have hit this year.
Profar came off the bench to pinch hit in the 5th for Moreland, delivered a single. Padres are looking for their first lead in this series, and a win in this one to extend it to 3.
Huge at bat there on the part of Tommy Pham. After those home runs and you tied the game, you don't want to lose that momentum. And you got to realize that you've still not gotten to where you need to be to win a ball game and create a game 3.
Profar is the 8th batter of this inning for San Diego. He had a monster September. He ended on a tear. Hit .351 for the month with a couple of home runs, and that's why Chase Tinkler's decision to leave him out of the lineup today raised a couple of eyebrows. But as he explained, I like to have this option off the bench.
Yeah. Yep. That's what managing's all about.
Profar double checking with Blazer if that one was a strike.
We know that he was 2 for 4, Profar, in game 1. We also know that last year in that wild card game when he was with Oakland, he went 2 for 4. You know, it really appeared like he just didn't have a position. We know at second base he's got a problem with the throws. He's kind of got that thing, but well, he just seems to have gotten more and more comfortable out there in left field, and that allowed his bat to wake up.
Gallegos puts it to sleep, but before that, Tatis and Machado wake everybody up. They go back to back for the 4th time. 3 times in the regular season, once here in the postseason when they needed it the most. Tatis was first, a 3-run shot, and then Machado followed with 1 to left. The Padres flying high now. Home runs, and the Padres put a 4 spot on the board in the 6th. We head to the 7th. In this game 2, St. Louis and San Diego all tied up. Emilio Pagan, 7th pitcher of the game for the Padres. 22 appearances in the regular season. And first pitch swinging, Paul Goldschmidt, deep center field. And off the glove of Trent Grisham. He lost it behind him. Goldschmidt motors his way to second. He's got a leadoff double.
That ball was absolutely crushed. And having been out there during batting practice a few times and been fooled by some of them that are hit this hard, sometimes that ball comes off the bat and it starts knuckling, and you just wonder. I mean, he gets there, he's got the ball in his glove, but you just wonder if it knuckling didn't have that movement that came down and caught the heel of the glove rather than staying in the webbing where he thought it was when he threw his glove up there.
Goldschmidt jumped on the first from Pagan. Who walked a couple last night. And now it's Dylan Carlson. And a first pitch strike.
Yeah, Jace Tingler was telling us that I don't care how many pitches they threw last night, which was 30 for Pagan. He had all kinds of control problems. He said it's all hands on deck. He goes, we're going to need everybody down there. In all probability, if we don't get a lot of length from Zach Davies, not been the year this year for Pagan that it was a year ago.
Carlson popped it up. Tatis back, and he'll run all the way out in left field. 1 down. Let's get you to the studio for a Dodgers update.
Tom, yes, game number 2 between the Brewers and the Dodgers. Clayton Kershaw on the mound. His postseason issues are well documented, but a pair of strikeouts to start off, including against Christian Yelich. That one in the 2nd, underway over on ESPN2.
All right, thanks, Sean. Pagan going back to work now, facing Yadier Molina. Quick check of the scouting report on the Cardinals catcher. And going over the sequence with his catcher, Austin Nola.
You know, just seeing Clayton Kershaw there, and you know, a couple innings ago we talked about his postseason problems. I just, boy, the addition of Mookie Betts that the Dodgers were able to make over the winter. I mean, that's just a game changer. That changes everything as far as the mentality of a starting pitcher. When you look at that lineup and all the ability that's there, and Mookie leading the way, you almost take the mound knowing that you're up 5-0. We're going to get 5 runs. If I stick around for 6 or 7 innings, they're going to score 5 runs. So, I mean, with that in mind, I remember Dusty Baker telling me one time, if you give up a solo home run, I can get that back for you myself. And a lot of times he did.
Nothing in 2 to Molina now. Well, you got to think what kind of life that gives this Padres bullpen now, with Tatis and Machado providing the power. If they're able to come back and win this series, they're going to need every available arm. Starters Lamet and Clevenger left off the wild card roster. Molina yanks that one into the seats foul. Remains to be seen if either one would return should the Padres advance to the next round.
We talked earlier about Mike Schilt and his confidence in Carpenter and Dexter Fowler, even though they've not had the seasons. The last couple of seasons have not been great, but he still believes in them. I just think about Jace Tingler and, you know, Pagan coming over here, and I mean, he was going to be that 8th inning guy, and then at one point when Yates went down, he was going to be the 9th inning guy.
Tatis deep from the outfield grass, and a cannon to retire Molina. 2 down with the runner going to 3rd. Goldschmidt Call the shots during postseason games and compete for cash prizes with MLB Rally, a new free-to-play game where you make at-bat predictions in real time. Download MLB Rally app now. Restrictions apply. See official rules at MLB.com/rally.
Pedro, did you see how deep Tatis Jr. was when he got to that ball?
He was
Did that not
on the
make
grass.
you think? Yeah. Well, is that not where Ozzie Smith? I know it's not the same field. I know they're not the same ballpark, but that's where Ozzie Smith used to play when he was a Padre.
Over at Qualcomm/Jack Murphy Stadium down in Mission Valley. Absolutely. You know, Tatis's defense, everyone talks about his offense, but you talk to talent evaluators, he is an above average defender. He may never be an Ozzie Smith type, but he is above average, and that's all you want from that position.
He is incredibly and impressively improved at that position. And he said, I heard all the haters after last year. I put the work in to get better at it. He went from one of the worst with some of the defensive metrics at short to tied for first with 7 outs above average at that position.
I think the number one thing for him defensively is that arm strength that he has. It gives him the ability to play deeper and get to more balls.
Sut, you're so right. If you have a Sean Dunston type arm, you can cover up a lot of things out there.
Is it that good?
Well, it's getting there. It may not be Dunston. I mean, Dunston had a cannon.
That was the best one. That was the best one I ever saw.
DeYoung goes down swinging. Pagan with a mini fist bump, and there's no doubt the momentum's in the Padres dugout. Tied at 6. Time to stretch. Set this up. 2 home runs back to back. Fernando Tatis and then Manny Machado.
You wondered if those bats were going to wake up in time. Well, you don't wonder anymore. And after Pagan giving up that double off the glove of Grisham in center field, keeping them from scoring, I mean, you were exactly right, partner. You nailed it, talking about where the momentum in this ball game is right now.
Nobody in baseball had more comeback wins than the Padres in the regular season. And they're showing that ability now. Daniel Ponce de Leon is on the mound. Asked Jace Tingler before the game today, what is it about this team's makeup that has allowed all of those comebacks? He said, I think it's simple. We're a complete team. We have so many guys that can contribute, and no doubt the bullpen's a part of that too. But Sutton, whether it's the rest of this one or then tomorrow, Jace Tingler's really going to have to move some pieces around to get the right guys on the hill.
And that's one of those things that my grandpa used to say, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Yeah, there is nobody in a Padre uniform, if they make it, that's not going to want to play in that game tomorrow.
Will Myers is the only Padre that didn't bat in the 6th inning in this batting order. He's 0 for 3. Had an RBI fielder's choice back in the 4th. Daniel Ponce de Leon. And this one is yanked deep to left towards the pole. Off the bricks, and another home run for San Diego. Padres have their first lead of the series.
I know he's had some decent years in the past, but I think the consistency of Will Myers this year separates everything else. The OPS is a career high by a lot. He's never come close to putting up the numbers consistently as he has this year. And I think a lot of that has to do with when he first came here, he was supposed to be the man. He's not supposed to be the man right now. He's supposed to be one of the guys.
Well, they got some dudes in this batting order, don't they?
They do.
Entering today, the Padres were 0-12 in the postseason when trailing by at least 4. But they've never had a Padres team like this. The best winning percentage in the regular season in franchise history.
I'm glad, Tommy, because of your question to Jace Tingler about comebacks and being down by 24 points. And hey, yeah, we feel like we can do it too. And you know what? He's from the Show Me State, and he just proved it.
Nola fouls back the 2-2. We said it going into the bottom of the 6th inning. If the Padres could find some energy, that they have the ability with this explosive offense to claw their way back in the game. Now, they were given that opportunity when Genesis Cabrera walked Nola and Cronenworth. And all that did was provide the spark, and then Tatis Machado turned it into a flame.
Hanging breaking ball. Probably a little bit surprised that that was the pitch he saw after getting blown away by upper 90 fastballs on the outer half of the plate. I'll take it. Thank you.
Ponce de Leon with a walk. 1 on. Been an unprecedented season for Mike Shildt. He refused to use the schedule as an excuse, but admitted in the last week of the season he has guys that are just flat exhausted. Here's Jake Cronenworth. 1-0 to Cronenworth. The Padres were in such good position going into the last week. You contrast where these two teams were. The Cardinals were scratching and clawing, and they had all these double headers jammed up. And they fought their way in the last day of the season. The Padres were able to go into that Giants series. Hey, we're good. Look at these starters we got. Look at this offense we have, trying to get some guys healthy again. And then Lamet and Clevenger went down in the same series, and the worry bubbled to the surface. On top of that, they used Zach Davies on Saturday for 51 pitches, and that essentially meant he couldn't throw game 1 of this series. Now with a couple of big swings, Davies left off the hook on the right there, and Padres are re-energized.
You know, before a couple of years ago, you would have thought, well, even if they win this game, they have no chance tomorrow. But with what we have seen the Tampa Bay Rays do, and this goes back to when Joe Madden was there and some of the things that they did that nobody else had ever done or even thought about trying. But you know, when you think about this opener and you think about, you know, having a bulk guy, I mean, there's just different ways to win a ball game and get through 9 innings with a staff than what we've known. I mean, I can remember, you know, there's been games in the last couple of years where a team would, you'd have a left-handed hitter, let's say Matt Carpenter back when he was leading off and was elite. You'd bring a left-hander in just to get that out. You just get that out, and now you go to your starter after that. I mean, there's ways of getting through it that we never thought of.
Cronenworth goes down swinging. I would add this to that statement, too. If you're pitching for this Padres team, one of the most prolific offenses in the game, averaging almost 5.5 runs a night. Well, you've got more wiggle room as a manager and a pitching coach.
There's no doubt about that. The only problem that I think of with that is, as you know, when you get to the postseason this time of year, you're talking normally about elite pitching. And had the Padres stayed healthy with Lamet and Clevenger, I think they feel like they could have matched up with anybody. That's not the case right now, and might not be.
See if their offense and their bullpen can carry him tonight. The offense did it in the 6th. Grisham hitless this evening. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Suck, can I just say, whether you think that 16 teams in the postseason is too many in a regular year, we can sit down and have that discussion over a beverage, but how much fun this fall frenzy has been over the last couple of days.
I like that, fall frenzy. Yeah, you get no argument here.
I had 2 screens going late into the night last night, and that was after our 4-hour game. 3 pitches to take care of Grisham, and 2 down. Here's Tatis again, and here's a guy that's worth staying up late for.
I'm laughing because of what we talked about yesterday when our good buddy Matt Vasgersian was talking about commuter flights.
Yeah.
And how with all the 8 games that were played, how every hour, I mean, you could just, get from Kansas City to St. Louis or from San Diego to LA, wherever you needed to go. I mean, you could see baseball all day long.
If I'm not mistaken, it went from noon Eastern till about 1:30 in the morning. I think the Yankees game ended right before 1:15, and the Dodgers wrapped up shortly thereafter. Tatis' shot brought down the leaves, if there were any to bring down in San Diego. 103 off the bat.
From the day he was born, he's been watching big league home runs. He saw his dad hit over 100 of them, and he saw his dad hit most of them when he played for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Tatis had multiple workouts for the Cardinals. His dad really was hoping St. Louis would sign him, and they weren't asking for a ton. Could be as little as a $50,000 difference that kept him from coming to terms instead to the White Sox for $700,000. Three and one now. He's swung at 3-0 pitches already this season.
With a big lead.
Yeah.
And, something that his dad wouldn't have done back in the day. But, you know what? Things have changed, and it's okay. As I think about sports in general right now and the competition for that dollar, I mean, these young players, Javi Baez, come on. I mean, you see Javi Baez jerseys. I mean, you see him everywhere in Chicago. Tatis is taking over San Diego along with Manny Machado. You can't go to L.A. without seeing something with Mookie Betts on the back of it. And even Mike Trout was the one. Let him play. You know what? Yeah. I'm all for it now. And I think ESPN's a big part of that. I think we start SportsCenter off with somebody hitting a long home run and having fun.
Tatis, he's going to lead SportsCenter. He's done it again. Another home run, and the Padres add to their advantage. An opposite field shot that he knew from the get-go, and a bat flip amidst the flashing lights.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What are you doing tomorrow, partner? I got a feeling we're going to be right back here. Alive and well is that power department for these San Diego Padres.
Opposite field strength for Fernando Tatis Jr.
That long ball has been so important all year long to this team, and they had to wonder in game one, where's it at? Is it our lack of experience? What are we feeling the pressure? Is it playing the Cardinals once again? Well, I love what the Padre players were saying after the game. A lot of the guys were telling me, a lot of the front office people, that, you know what, this 1-9 thing against the Cardinals, that's not us. That was a long time ago. This is us, and all we got to do now is go out and win a series. Win 2 out of 3 like we've done all year long.
7 innings in the books. The energy is back at Petco, courtesy of Fernando Tatis Jr. 2 long balls and a bat flip. The sensational young talent for San Diego with 2 home runs tonight. And we don't want to upset anybody if we called Mr. Mahomes Pat. We know his mother would prefer we call him Patrick. We knew that. We learned it on Monday Night Football. And he is the Patrick Mahomes of this San Diego team, as Jace Tingler said. Here's our game track brought to you by Geico. Padres lead 9-6. Tommy Pham is 4 for 4. Tatis, 2 home runs, has driven in 5. Machado and Myers each with a solo home run. To your point, Sut, about the talent in this game and having an opportunity as Drew Pomeranz takes over on the mound for San Diego. Should the Padres advance and with every series get more and more national attention to fans who maybe weren't following baseball as closely as people like you and I during the course of the season, with every game Fernando Tatis Jr. gets more exposure. And with every game, his style of play will be more and more celebrated.
I think he's earned that. I really do. And the way he's gone about it, and just really thinking about, and I know this is a short season, and there's still a lot to prove there as far as Tatis's durability. You love the numbers on Pomeranz. I mean, he's one of those guys, when you talk about the circle of trust, he's right in the middle of it. Even though that one just got away from him, and another base runner for St. Louis.
So Carpenter on board. Here's a Dodgers update.
Tom Brandon Woodruff taking the mound tonight for the Brewers in an elimination game, holding down the best offense in baseball, getting Max Muncy to look, then striking out Cody Bellinger. He's got 4 strikeouts through the first 2 innings. As for Clayton Kershaw, gets Christian Yelich to fly out with a runner in scoring position. Game is scoreless heading the bottom of 3rd on ESPN2.
All right, John, thanks. Dexter Fowler to the plate with the leadoff man on. Drew Pomeranz first inning of work and a first pitch strike to Fowler. Fowler 1 for 3 with an RBI double. I also think as we watch this series unfold that the Padres' lack of postseason experience lessens in importance with each game. Not just that obviously they gain experience with each at bat or plate appearance or inning pitch, but also they gain confidence if they can push this to a 3rd game. Left hand side, knocked down Tatis from his knees. He threw it wide. It'll get all the way down the line into right field. Carpenter stops at 3rd, and the Cardinals will have a chance to take advantage.
You got to write that down as a base hit, and then an error on Tatis as he tried to get the force at second. That ball's hitting the hole. You're not going to get Fowler at first, you know that. All of a sudden he comes up with it, not able to make the throw. You know, a little bit of that had to do with Cronenworth, and I like what Jake did there. He tried to be a first baseman. He tried to reach towards a throw. You could see how his foot was already planted rather than waiting to see where the throw was to go get it, how a guy like Eric Hosmer would have done, or Paul Goldschmidt. maybe tried to do a little bit too much right there, and that might have been part of the reason why that throw got away.
So runners at the corners now with nobody out, and Harrison Bader at the plate. In the last half inning, Fernando Tatis delivered the third multi-home run game in Padres postseason history, joining Ken Caminiti and Greg Vaughn. And now in the 8th, he allows Carpenter and Fowler an extra 90 feet with his wide throw. Out of play, 0-2.
Contact. We know that that was a problem in game 1 for Harrison Bader. But you have got to find a way to make contact here.
Was Tatis holding his wrist? Curveball inside, 1-2.
I didn't see that.
Hopefully he's just adjusting the tape.
Yeah. You scared me there. we need him. There's a lot of people watching right now because of the things that he's capable of doing.
Take another look at the dive. Oh, the ball hit the small of the hand.
Yeah, and I think it just kind of pushed things back. It might be a little bit tender, but I don't think that'll be a problem. But, you know, one of the things I was talking about a couple years ago, he had a thumb injury, and then we know that last year that his season ended abruptly because of the slight fracture of a vertebrae in his lower back, which obviously is a lot of concern.
He's recovered in more ways than one.
Not only how important he's been to the Padres, but I talked about it yesterday on, I think he's been more important to Manny Machado than Manny Machado has been to him. I think he knows that Tatis is watching every move that Manny makes.
Bader pops another one up. This one will find the seats. They've motivated each other, and Jace Tinkler's eyes lit up when we were talking to him this week. He said, okay, who's pushing or pulling who? And he said, I think it goes both ways. Fernando Tatis Jr. is the second youngest player in postseason history with a 5 RBI game. Only Andrew Jones was younger. And with Andrew Jones in the World Series in '96 and Carlos Correa in the ALDS in 2015, the youngest with a multi-home run game. Deep ballpark in that area, and it's hauled in by Grisham. Carpenter coming home, and St. Louis gets a key run across on a sac fly from Harrison Bader, and that error that Tatis made, allowing Carpenter to be close enough to score on a sac fly.
It's one of those hustle errors where, you know, there's nobody, even a Padre fan, you can't fault Tatis for trying to make that great play. It was incredible that he got to it and knocked it down. That was some kind of an at-bat by Harrison Bader there. You saw the numbers with Pomeranz. I mean, he's going to strike out a guy every inning, particularly now that he's settled into that relief role. But even though you made an out, it was a productive out. You got the run in, you moved the runner to third base.
You expect eventually Tatis and Machado to show their power. Perhaps unexpected was Colton Wong's power in the second inning. Only homered once during the regular season. And he sends this one to center field towards the gap. Long run. Grisham, he's got it. And Fowler will jog home. So the Cardinals, with Carpenter being hit by the pitch and then Fowler reaching on that infield single, have both of them come home. And it's a one-run game in the top of the 8th.
Just had to think about that because I remembered last year doing a couple of games where Colton Wong went deep, and thinking back and looking back, he had 11 home runs last year. So, you know, a lot of things starting to come around for that youngster, and including that power department. I mean, he might be a guy that goes 20-20 at some point in the near future.
And we discussed earlier, Sut, the fact that it's so hard to judge the production of this Cardinals offense over the course of this season. Jeff Albert, their hitting coach, has caught a lot of flack over the course of the season. They've been a very patient team, seeing over 4 pitches per plate appearance. And that flies in contrast with what some of the veteran hitters have done over the years. When you got veteran guys going out and working with other hitting coaches during the course of the season, you could understand some of the discord that would occur. But the Cardinals are dedicated to that. They brought in numerous instructors throughout the minor leagues to preach that patient philosophy.
I think when you look at the numbers that they have not been able to put up this year as far as speed and power, you need to find a way to get people on base. You need to find a way to have big innings when you're not able to pick up those easy runs like some of the other teams.
Mike Schilt said, listen, I love the slug. I want offense. I mean, I've got a picture of Earl Weaver in my office. Of course I want the 3-run home run. But wanting it and getting it are two different things.
I said that from the very beginning. They talked about a double play ball being a pitcher's best friend. No, give me that 3-run homer.
Cardinals don't get a 3-run home run, but they get a couple of sac flies, make it interesting late. Times this season, the Padres hit 4 home runs in a single game, and they did it here in a must-win game in game number 2 of this wild card round. And a bat flip. It might remind some of Jose Bautista. That was an epic postseason flip. And Tatis has a pair of home runs tonight.
I was there for that home run in Toronto, and I'm telling you, it was big. Yeah, Bautista got his lights punched out by Ruben Odor the following year, but it was worth every bit of it. I mean, that place went absolutely crazy, and I remember you couldn't get a ride back home. They told you might as well walk regardless of how far away you are, and just hearing the crowd and the fans there in Toronto and that city going, Jose, 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 Jose. Well, they're feeling that way right now about this Padre team.
Tyler Webb on the mound now for St. Louis, facing Eric Hosmer. Middle of the order due up for the Padres, 4, 5, and 6 spots, including Tommy Pham, who has a 4-hit night. Webb led the Cardinals in appearances with 21. Here's Yadier Molina doing what he does. 1 down. Authentic caps, tees, jerseys, hoodies, and more. Get all your postseason gear and cheer on your team at home with the official source, MLBshop.com. It's easy to fall under the headlines if you're a Padres hitter, because as much as Tatis and Machado have done tonight, Tommy Pham is 4 for 4. And Molina took that shot right to the chest protector. And the bat went flying too.
You know,
which is what he heard.
We all know that Tommy Pham was lost to these Padres because of hurting his hand on a swing.
And here comes the trainer and Tingler are both out there, and he hurt his hand earlier this year against the Diamondbacks in a regular season game, had to go on the IL, and it's the same hand.
Yeah, broken hamate bone. So Pham came back relatively quickly from that injury. And they're both shaken up.
We have seen some gutty performances tonight. We've seen Matt Strahm trying to get through an inning, limping around on that right knee of his. It's that time of year. I mean, I know it was a short season, but there's a lot of people that aren't at 100%.
Here's Edman at third. And Pham retired for the first time tonight. When we head to the ninth, it'll be Goldschmidt, Carlson, and Molina due up for the Cardinals. Here's Profar. Single and a strikeout for Jurickson Profar tonight. And he lines that one into the empty seats. I'd say the fun is back in the Padres dugout.
Well, you can see it on that smile. And I mean, he's had that smile on tonight even before they took the lead. I mean, he knew he was going to be in the game. The manager told us in our Zoom meeting earlier today.
Trevor Rosenthal getting loose for the Padres.
Got to be a lot going through his mind, knowing that, I mean, his big league career flourished with the Cardinals. Now he's got an opportunity to take them to the final game of a postseason series.
First hit allowed by Webb. And it's Will Myers again. I don't know what those windows are made of in the Western Supply Company warehouse. They certainly aren't the originals, but Will Myers almost put a baseball through the window or the bricks his last time up. 104 off the bat. Cardinals are going to make another pitching change. They'll do it with 1 on and 2 out in the 8th.
And the Dodgers, Brandon Woodruff shutting down this Dodgers offense. 6 strikeouts, 1 hit in the first 3 innings as Milwaukee trying to force a game number 3 tomorrow, Tom and Sutton.
Yeah, 5 of his 6 Ks coming with a 4-seam fastball. That was the best strikeout pitch in baseball this year with the 4-seamer. Padres have a 9-8 lead here. They need to win tonight to force a decisive game 3 tomorrow night. Cody Whitley coming out of the Cardinals bullpen. 4 appearances in the regular season, a sub-2 ERA, and a minuscule .64 whip. Will Myers with a line drive home run his last time up.
Mike Schilt just feeling like there's no way after the home run from Will Myers in his last at bat that I can leave the left-hander Webb in there to face him.
Strike at the top of the zone from Whitley. Are you getting some feedback via your text machine based on what you said about Tatis's and Bautista's bat flips?
I'm getting some people that don't believe what I just said.
Hey, listen, this is the beauty of being a human being. You can evolve over the course of time. And what Rick Sutcliffe thought when he was on the mound can be different from what he thinks now.
And things are different now. And I'm going to be honest. I really think that ESPN's a big part of that. when you go to Sports Center and you turn on Scott Van Pelt tonight, they're going to talk about home runs. They're going to talk about a bat flip. And you know what? I've got a 7-year-old grandson, and he loves everything about Fernando Tatis. He loves the fact that he flipped that bat. And, you know, if he hits a home run in his Little League game, he's probably going to do it. But that's exactly, Tommy, what you're talking about in changing with the times.
I seem to think that Kerry Wood may drill him with a fastball in the ribs. Deep center field. Bader at the fence. Gone again. It's a 2-home run game for Will Myers. Insurance runs crossing for the Padres. It's now a 3-run lead in the bottom of the 8th.
That right there is what you call icing on the cake. That's an exclamation point right there, as saying what a lot of people thought coming into this series. There's just a lot more talent in that Padre dugout, particularly offensively, than there is on the other side. You wondered for the longest time. They're down 4-0 tonight. They're down 6-2 going into the bottom of the 6th inning. Is that offense ever going to wake up? Well, the answer is yes.
They didn't just wake from their slumber. They jolted out of bed.
I see the power. You've seen it all year long. But I think about these guys getting on base in front of the big boys. How they're not all just solo home runs. They're starting to put up crooked numbers with just one swing of the bat, like they've done throughout this regular season.
Four in the 6th, 3 in the 7th, a couple in the 8th. And going back to what you said, Derek Jeter told you about a must-win game for the Red Sox. You said, no, it's must-win for us, for the Yankees, because you give a team like this with this much talent a shot to come back. Who knows if you can respond?
Yeah, he talked about that in the LCS in 2004. And there's too much ability over there to give him any kind of momentum. Well, I think momentum right now is on the first base side of Petco Park.
Second pair of teammates in postseason history to each have 2 home runs in the same game. Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig did it in the 1932 World Series.
Wow. Wow.
That was game 3 of the World Series against the Cubs. The Padres are the first team in Major League history to hit 5 home runs from the 6th inning on in a playoff game.
I get goosebumps anytime you throw up names like that in the history of our great sport.
To Trevor Rosenthal now, 11 saves in 12 chances during the regular season. 38 strikeouts against just 8 walks. Now, they gave him some breathing room with a 2-run home run from Myers, but he'll face Goldschmidt, Carlson, and Molina.
Yeah, we saw Trevor last night, and he was a little bit out of sorts in game 1. He came in, and home plate was kind of moving around on him a little bit. He walked a couple of guys. Eventually, he gave up a run.
Easy cheese to start off Goldschmidt. Two hits in this series for Paul Goldschmidt, both of them for extra bases, and he yanks that one deep to left field. It's gone in a hurry. Second home run this series for Paul Goldschmidt. And the Cardinals still have life. .109 off the bat.
And right at 100 miles an hour coming in. I mean, I can remember when there were only a couple of guys, Goose Gossage and Nolan Ryan, that might have thrown 100. I don't think any of the radar guns back in that day went that high, but You get everybody now coming in out of the bullpen. A lot of times you don't even know their name, and they're throwing in the upper 90s, throwing 100 miles an hour. And yet these hitters in this day and age now, I mean, if you can't locate it, they're going to make you pay.
2 home runs in as many games for the Cardinals star Goldschmidt. Now it's their perhaps newest star, Dylan Carlson. The Cardinals cleanup hitter hitting behind this guy, Goldschmidt.
Just a little bit higher than the fastball he got in his first at bat last night when he hit that 2-run homer. Just a nice, short, compact swing with a lot of power.
Carlson making history, or at least putting his name next to some historical players. A third 21-year-old in franchise history to back cleanup in the postseason. The other 2 didn't get a hit when they did it. Pujols 0 for 1 against Arizona in 2001, and Stan Musial against the Yankees in 1942. Larry Rothschild out. He's got Molina coming up, and Rosenthal hasn't recorded an out yet.
He had a lot of trouble getting 3 outs in the ball game last night. This kind of looks like the guy right now that struggled the last couple of years. Not the guy that pitched in Kansas City this year, was so outstanding that with the Royals not going anywhere, the Padres said, you know what, this is like getting insurance for your house. I mean, Kirby Yates went down at one point. Pomeranz had some physical problems. They didn't know what they were going to have there. We need a closer. We need to ensure what's going on here. And I mean, up until the ball game yesterday, they thought they had it. They thought they had the 9th inning locked down.
And up until the final series of the season, they thought the rotation was set. Lamet goes down, Clevenger goes down. The bullpen numbers for San Diego were much improved in the month of September. And certainly Rosenthal, the 30-year-old from Lee's Summit, Missouri, played a key role in that. 1-1. Came over August 29th for Edward Olivares, and a player to be named later. He threw 23 pitches last night.
I don't know, partner, if it's the Cardinals or what it is that's bothering him here. I mean, his misses are bad, and unlike what we've seen all year long, he knows what the Cardinal organization did for him. He knows that is when a lot of his problems started. Some of them were struggles, some of them were injuries.
On the ground through the right side. Carlson to second. In the 9th inning, the Cardinals trail by 2, and they've got 2 aboard. There is nobody throwing in the Padres bullpen. They want that ball to be taken out of play. It's likely another landmark hit for Yadier Molina in the postseason. He can just go get it himself. He's waving by. Give me the ball. I'm going to come out for a pinch runner. It's almost impossible to keep up with all of Yadier Molina's notes that he gets on new historical records. O'Neill will pinch run. Here's why they wanted the baseball. 100th career hit in Yadier Molina's fantastic postseason history.
Look at that guy right in front of him. Longtime catcher for those Yankees. That telephone's got to be ringing. Larry Rothschild, the pitching coach of the Padres, made a house visit. I mean, he went out there like a doctor trying to put something back together again. And I mean, you got to be concerned. I don't know that it can be done right now. He's afraid to throw that breaking ball for a strike. And you got power at home plate once again, almost like what you had with Goldschmidt.
Craig Stammen and Tim Hill, the relievers, getting loose for San Diego.
I mean, Paul DeYoung on anything on the inside part of the plate is as quick as they come. You got to stay away. You'd like to stay down and possibly get maybe 2 outs with 1 swing of the bat.
Went up and a swing and a miss to take it to 2-2. So what's really interesting now is you got Hill, who, you know, any other year you could go loogie with Matt Carpenter coming up, but with the 3-batter rule, that's changed things. Popped him up. Huge out for Rosenthal.
Huge out for San Diego. I mean, right when you don't know if the Padres win, who the starting pitcher is going to be. You don't know how you're going to find a way to get 27 outs if you win. With all the pitches, as you mentioned, 23 that he threw last night, and all that it's taken up to this point again here in game 2. I mean, who knows if Rosenthal will be available, and if he is available, what you'll get out of him.
Matt Carpenter scored 3 runs tonight for St. Louis. He's walked, he's been hit by a pitch, and he's got a double. And he ignores the inside fastball.
He's going to spit on that. He's going to look for something out over the plate that he can elevate, knowing what he represents right now. And a lot like with Yadier Molina, I mean, he knows his former teammate. He knows what he's got. He knows what he's going to see. It's just a matter of getting a mistake to do something with. Like that.
Did you have former teammates who knew you that gave them a big advantage?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the worst part about a former teammate, especially one of them that was your buddy, was, I mean, he knew you weren't going to drill him. I mean, you know, you'd like to put just a little bit of fear in a guy. You know, I mean, that's going to help you get him out. Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that Yadier Molina was diving on that outside corner. He's not coming in. He's not going to do anything in there. Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina, believe me, they're talking about baseball. They're talking about trying to find a way to tie this game up, or maybe even more.
Together as a battery for the 289th time tonight. 3 balls in a strike now to Matt Carpenter. Is this the last batter for Rosenthal?
I was just thinking the same thing, Tommy. I don't know. I don't know. I just think this is easily the biggest pitch of the night for either team.
The 3-1 caught the edge for a strike.
It's been a strike all night. Is it going to catch the corner or not? I'm not real sure, but I love the consistency. Even though it's a big plate and at times it's not a strike, it's consistent for both teams, and it's just you just can't argue about that. That's all you want.
Payoff to Carpenter. Swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt, and there's 2 down.
Wow. I mean, this again was one of those breaking balls that misses by a lot. That ball barely got to home plate. Matt Carpenter absolutely convinced that he was going to get another fastball. He had a fastball down in the zone for that first strike that he missed. Looking back on that, that's what put him in the hole and sent him back to the bench.
Now Dexter Fowler with 2 on and 2 out in the ninth. Rips it to first, handled by Hosmer. He'll take it to the bag, and we'll get a game 3. Padres are alive. They continue to chase the big cake, as they say. 2 home runs from Tatis, 2 from Myers, and Machado contributes as well. Padres take this one 11-9. Brewers and Dodgers coming up next. They're scoreless in LA in the 5th. And we will see you for a game 3 between St. Louis and San Diego to decide this wild card series tomorrow. For Rick Sutcliffe, Pedro Gomez, our sensational ESPN crew, I'm Tom Hart. Let's get you to Chavez Ravine for Brewers, Dodgers, Ravi, Eduardo, and Kirkjian.